Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. We are glad that you are here and we've got a great show for you today. If you are signed up for our newsletter, then you'll see today's newsletter has all sorts of fun stuff in it. You should go check it out. Of course, we are celebrating our episode 555 episode anniversary. Is that? Yeah, that's a thing, I think. Episode anniversary. So if you are interested in producing today's show, becoming a part of the celebration, you can head to canarycryradio.com/support. That's a fun way to go. Of course, we are having, as always, our triple-digit 555 Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames sort of discount extravaganza. If that's something you're interested in, look, we understand. I totally understand. Now might not be the economic circumstances to take advantage of that celebration, but we have just been doing it every triple-digit episode, so we are continuing to do it now. But of course, nobody feel pressured or guilty or whatever if you can't partake. But if you're one of those people who are doing okay, the Lord is blessing you during these times, and you want to become a knight or a dame at a 45% discount, woo, you can go ahead and do that. We have a special button for it to make it easy on you. It'll be in the newsletter, or as soon as I'm able to log in, I will post that link in the chat for you if you're interested in that. All right, folks. Well, it's time to get this party started, so stay hydrated and don't do anything I wouldn't do. All right, let's go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 2nd, 2022, and we are live to tape on episode 555. Ooh. And today, the Troll World Order. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, who also happens to be your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California, to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's immersion phenomenon is Basil just simply troll trollification, troll world order.
Trollery.
Troll. Yeah. It's just
troll.
Well, you had the verb troll. It's to go about a stroll, 14th century. But in the internet sense, which I think is hilarious, if you go to the etymology dictionary online, you look up words, and in the definition of troll as a verb, there's a section that says the internet sense, and then in parentheses, everyone seems to have his own definition of it. Seems to date to the late 1980s. Thought that was a funny thing to put in relatively official, etymololine.com. Etymological dictionary. But also troll as a noun, supernatural being in Scandinavian mythology and folklore, 1610s.
Oh, yeah.
From Old Norse
they
troll.
They love their trolls. What's up, Canary cried, Scandinavians?
Yeah. Giant being not of the human race, evil spirit or monster. So pretty familiar to our sort of,
it's a bit of a misnomer, because not all trolls are evil as far as the Norse are concerned. I could also be entirely wrong about that, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, they seem to have changed form in later years, becoming dwarfs and imps who live, in caves. Perhaps a sort of a strange analogy to the whole idea of, Jesus sending these bad angels to Tartarus,
racism.
The underworld.
Racism is what it is. No, not you. Trolls.
Trolls are racist.
Anywho. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Well, guys, we got a great show today. Mm-hmm. Shall I give you a bit of a rundown?
Shall you?
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
That's right. First, we'll be checking in with the king of the trolls himself, Elon Musk, and his Halloween costume causing quite a stir. Of course, checking in with SpaceX and things like that, but also something I'm very excited that Elon might do, unless he's trolling us. Then we'll be checking in with FLIPPY, our robot frenemy, and how FLIPPY is poised to change our relationships with animals. Then we've got more unfolding news with the Pelosi attack, and what indeed was that used to distract from? And we'll be checking in with The Intercept with a new expansive report on what the Biden administration is up to regarding the internet and censorship and things like that. Then, of course, it's Wednesday. We'll be checking in with Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Russia. More trolls, baby. Trolls are everywhere. But also, Putin getting on the desatanization trend himself. So we'll see what is being done over there for that. Now, COVID. Topic 2, COVID. I don't know. We might be too hot for YouTube, but maybe not. I think it's an important conversation. This came out during last episode, which made me a little antsy to get to it, but we saved it for this episode. The Atlantic wants to declare pandemic amnesty. What does that mean? Who gets amnesty?
Do we?
And that is a great question, Gons.
We
How do
should.
we apply for pandemic amnesty? And then, of course, Gons will be rounding out the show with a Nephilim update. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
Our lead stories. Elon.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
Are we, Mr. Musk?
Are we?
Who's obviously everyone's been talking about his costume. From
yes, the Halloween costume, his Reformation Day costume.
Yes, this is his Martin Luther moment, I suppose, in a sense, wearing the Devil's Champion, a $7,500 leather armor suit that has what looks sort of like a Baphomet goat thing in the middle with an upside down cross on the forehead.
I think it seems to be explicitly a Baphomet head with an upside down cross on the forehead.
Yeah, and it appears again on the forearm armor pieces, I don't know, the outfit pieces, as well as
gauntlets or wrist bracers, as they're called.
Amulets.
Nope, on the cosplay circuit.
Yes,
there.
You have the lingo down. I need some support here because I don't know all the proper lingo.
an excellent piece of cosplay for old Elon here. Cosplay, of course, the hobby, the practice, the art form of I don't know, dressing up in costumes, usually of a character of a video game or a piece of pop culture. I'm not sure what the Devil's Champion is, if that's a reference to something.
Allegedly, nobody knows who he is trying to look like, and there are some people on TikTok and Instagram and stuff that are suggesting that, you know, he's revealing himself. He is saying that I am this new character. I am the Antichrist. Look at me. I'm dressed for the part.
Antichrist, you know, devil's advocate, devil's champion, stuff like that. I think there's a couple different angles that people are talking about it from. But yeah, I mean, it looks like something from a video game. I'm thinking not Devil May Cry, but something like Devil May Cry. I don't know. I'm sure somebody out there has a better line on what exactly he's dressing up as.
Well, I have the Abracadabra NYC.com, I think, actually has the outfit for sale. That's where the $7,500
price so it's
tag
like a artisan manufactured type of piece he's
wearing. You can get a good look at the goat head here, and it's certainly yes, it's the Baphomet with the upside down cross on its forehead. So, but on the armor, it's on Elon's chest. So, very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. You think he's just trolling? He's playing the
Well, no, I think it's multiple things. Yeah, I think in his view, if you know, the PR, his response to us talking about him, of course, would be, you know, if he was asked, I think he's, you know, been demonized for so many reasons, for, you know, free speech advocacy or whatever. You know, especially with the Twitter thing, he's sort of the new hot thing to demonize. Or I think there's a connection there with the devil's advocate, you know, of course, free speech being evil nowadays. I think that that's what he and his sort of supporters or defenders or something would say about it. But yeah, it's certainly an explicitly sort of satanic look. And I think it's interesting because it's an interesting data point because nobody can quite say that he's pandering to the Christian right by wearing one of these things.
No. Well, maybe that's his confusing shield.
What's that?
Maybe that's his shield to be able to do the, you know, the conservative thing or the free speech thing and not be associated with all the Christian nationalism and far right and you know, toe that line kind of thing. Where
exactly.
But you know, it is confusing because a lot of conservatives were, you know, the Republicans are really for Trump and even the Kanye thing, and now with Elon, and all these guys have sort of flashed satanic kind of stuff. Remember Trump and Kanye with their dragon energy, and they were all pumped about their dragon energy, stuff like that. That so it throws a little wrench in the I don't know, the argument or the presentation of the arguments for, you know, political, I don't know, sides. And especially the conservative side. But, and also just to mention, you know, Elon tweeted out this photo. I believe that is his sister to his right, dressed as what looks, I guess, a Blues Brother, but also as a CIA agent is what she looks like. And then her mother, May Musk, who, you know, already kind of looked like Cruella de Vil. I think she went full Cruella, just being herself for Halloween. But she's, I don't know if that's exactly what she was, or she's just dressed in, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Matrixy Cruella de Vil type of person.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of symbolism there, I guess. A lot of trolling, I would say.
Good times.
Yeah.
And the response, I'm sure, is as expected.
I think so. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously, you know, I was looking on Twitter and Antichrist was trending, so. And that's part of this.
Yeah, that's how you know Elon's in charge, is Antichrist can trend.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Nuremberg was trending. all these sorts of things. It's amazing what happens when you, you know, take the limiter off of the algorithms there.
Well, also Trump is dead was trending, and a bunch of people, Elon did this to himself. It's a self-inflicting wound. Now look at this fake news about Trump being dead. Trump is dead trending. Which is hilarious because it's like, oh wow, you're defending Trump now, the wokey progressives?
Oh yeah, no, people's minds are completely glitching out trying to like be mean to Elon because yes, they're having to, I don't know, make points that make no sense and take sides that they would never do. Of course,
I can't believe the amount of social upheaval this Twitter thing has caused, especially in light of the elections being in like a week and a half or something, or a week, I guess. It's a week from yesterday. Bloomberg has Twitter limits content enforcement work as U.S. election looms. And then the subheadings here: Musk's social network freezes some access to moderation tools. Workers cite concerns about misinformation ahead of midterms. And most people who work in Twitter's trust and safety organization are currently unable to alter or penalize accounts that break rules around misleading information, offensive posts, and hate speech, except for the most high-impact violations that would involve real-world harm, according to people familiar with the matter.
Some would argue as it should be. You know, you shouldn't be censoring things unless it could have real world harm.
Yeah, unless the surveillance apparatus catches it on video and the world can affirm it.
Does not count.
Yeah, but this is a great Trojan horse for that, isn't it? Just like, well, can you verify it? Well, is there video? Well, the surveillance camera caught this, and that kind of, I think, relates to another thing we'll talk about later with Pelosi.
Of course.
But yeah.
But the biggest news, Gons, to wrap up our Elon update here is coming from NBC. It's all over the place. Millennials are abuzz with this news. Elon Musk might bring back Vine. Vine, Gons. Vine. The only social media platform that was ever worth existing. He might bring back. Now, who knows? You know, he says a lot of things. You know, most of the things he says, he actually follows through with. It may not be on the timeline expected, but Vine, for those who don't know, was a beloved social media platform, especially by millennials. It was sort of a precursor. It was like a proto TikTok.
Right, I was going to say it began the short form era in earnest.
Short form video. Yeah. Short form video was its thing. And it was a beautiful place, Vine. There was, it was kind of before algorithms kind of took over. So that was why it died, was it didn't have any algorithms. It didn't have any suggestions. It was kind of this weird kind of little place where you could find people who made 6 seconds. It was limited to 6 seconds, 6 seconds repeating. So it would sort of seamlessly loop 6 seconds of video. And people got really creative. It forced just an incredible amounts of creativity to make a good Vine post. And it was very artsy. It was very weird. Like, it wasn't so point to camera and talk about something or something like that. No trends, no dances. It was very artsy and very strange. And a lot of comedians used it. Very popular, and then it was bought by Twitter, and then summarily executed in the public square, in the backyard. They just put it down, and it was a very sad day. But he's talking about bringing it back, and it's an interesting timing for that because the Biden administration is very seriously considering destroying TikTok or a forced sale or shutting it down because of the connections to the CCP. So as far as
kind of like how Trump tried to do before.
Yeah, exactly. So you might bring back Vine, might be a viable option to replace TikTok in a way. Now, the code hasn't been touched since like 2012, so it's outdated. It won't work. I actually still have Vine on my phone. I just kept it there as a memorial. It doesn't even work. You can't, it doesn't open an app or anything. It's just a little icon. But we'll see what happens. So weird millennials out there will be happy to hear that Vine might have a future.
I have an exit strategy proposal.
Okay.
We make an app called Leaf. It's just a leaf. Okay. It's not a Vine. It's not a bird tweeting.
Sure.
Tweet. And all you can upload is videos that are less than 1 second.
Yeah. See, this is why we're going to be podcasting forever. Is because cannot come up with a viable.
Why is that not viable? Strategy. The AI will love it. The AI brains would soak that thing up.
Yeah, I think much like Vine, which was just sort of too soon. Like it was too soon for its perfect place in the world. I think your idea might be too soon. We got to wait until the neural links are implanted where the human brain can actually comprehend less than a second of video. But hang on to that, Gons, because in about 2030, that might be a good time to bring your
people will think that it's just an image, these videos, but they're not. They're 1 second videos.
Yeah.
Call it what?
Okay. Twig?
Twig. Oh, I like that. There you
Twig?
Go. Twig is better than leaf. This is why we split.
You spell it TWYG though. Twig.
So
yeah. All right, Gons. It's time for us to get on with the show. This is enough of this rambling because it is Wednesday, baby.
Is it already Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No
Wednesday,
joke,
my dudes.
Hey guys, know what day it is? It's Wednesday. It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday. Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
That's right. It is Wednesday, folks, which means we got a great show for you today, right smack dab in the middle of the week. But Gons, do you have anything interesting, any personal notes that the people need to know about?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of producer requests in the chat, and so let me just call upon them.
Producers, assemble!
And also prayer just going for my family. My son has a little infection in a not so good place.
Oh no.
Nothing too crazy, but yeah, if you can just pray for healing, and because he's in a little bit of pain every once in a while.
So. Oh no. Okay,
yep.
Well, we'll definitely do that. Thank you, producers. If you don't know, producers are people just like you who are committed to praying for the show, for the producers of the show, and just really for any needs that come up. So thank you very much for everyone who commits part of their prayer life to that purpose. Gons, last night I finally started experimenting with the Midjourney AI text to art generator thingy.
Great.
I had a little bit of time. I was kind of bored before bed and just kind of logged on, started poking around, seeing what all the hubbub is about. We've had producers send in sort of their creations or the AI's creations based on what they put in there.
Them for thinking they sent art.
No. Stop being so dramatic. I wasn't mocking anybody. We were having a very serious conversation about whether the AI art, has a place on the show, right. Or at least, should it be distinguished from producer art, things like that. And I still think probably. I think it still should be distinguished, but that's besides the point. I started playing with it, and it is fun, man. It's a little addicting. It's a dangerous game because, of course, you put in whatever explanation or description of something you want to see, and then it kind of takes a while. It's kind of like a slot machine. It's got a gambling vibe to it because you don't know what's going to pop out, and then you upscale it or you try to make other variations by clicking these buttons. It's very slot machine-y. You just click a button and see what happens.
Sure.
And, it sucked me in, man. It sucked me in, and I was playing with that thing for about 4 hours last night. So just a little warning to anybody who is thinking about trying that out. Now, that being said...
go ahead.
Yes, you have a comment?
I was just going to say that what you're describing sounds to me like a similar type of dopamine addiction that is found in the world of NFTs and NFT minting in particular. You mint NFTs, especially with these generative art projects where you have a basic formula or a format of an animal and, you know, whatever, ape or lion or whatever it is. And then they generate all these different characteristics and you're sort of rolling the dice. It's kind of a lottery.
Yeah.
You pay for a mint and
randomness.
it reveals a random set of combination of traits. And then that'll determine how rare your, you know, creature is, your NFT is. Very similar in that regard.
Yes, very similar in that regard. It is. It can be incredibly addicting and expensive. Because these guys, I think they know it. I think they know. Now, Midjourney is not necessarily the most expensive one, but I checked out a couple of other like app versions for your phone and like a couple different AI art generators, and I think they know. I think they know how addictive it is because they'll give you like.
Do you get to keep the art, or what happens to the art?
Okay, so you get to keep the art.
You get to keep it as you created it.
You create it, you keep it. I know, yeah. I mean,
okay,
yeah, you just save it to your desktop or whatever.
Through the Midjourney account, I'm guessing. I'm just trying to look.
It doesn't matter. It's complicated. You figure it out if you want to play with it. But the point being is that it's definitely got a dopamine thing. It's got a gambling aspect, but it is incredibly fascinating to watch happen in front of your eyes. Now, here's a fun thing that I was thinking about doing, and I want to know what you think about it. So, you know, for every episode of this show, we make a piece of art that becomes the thumbnail, you know. And lately, you've been the man doing it. Everybody loves the art. It's wonderful. Yep. It does take time to do before the show. It's not an overbearing task, but it is part of our process. And, you know, for every show, we put together little descriptions, you know, little keyword descriptions for what's being covered. And so, for instance, today's little keyword description is Troll World Order, Elon Beast, Nephilim Blackbirds, Pelosi Distraction, Mutant Strain, and then, of course, you go into a podcast that deconstructs mainstream media news and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I was thinking, at least for this episode, I'm kind of thinking that I'm just going to put in, copy paste the description of this episode into Midjourney. Yeah. Good. And just kind of throughout the episode, kind of start, you know, tinkering and tailoring in the few seconds in between, you know, reporting that I have. And then by the end of the episode, we'll see what, you know, creation AI has made with, of course, the help of you know, my decisions, my choices. And I don't know if it's good, we can use it as the art piece for the show or just put it out as an extra piece of fun little content.
I guess this episode is going to be documenting my job being replaced by AI. Is basically what I heard.
Yes, and my attention being totally distracted by AI.
Yes, you are nurturing the AI that will replace my job.
Yeah,
just to lay out the facts of what you just described is, you know, it's the context of the show.
It's an interesting exploration. It's
we get to be lab rats, folks. So
it's about exploring the future, the possibilities, the dangers of what's, you know, coming our way, and whether it's mortal danger or just the danger of taking attention away from doing the show. Who knows? We will find out. But
I just don't want to fall into complacency where it's like, I just put it all in the AI, let him do it, you know.
Well, you know, the thing is, and the reason why I don't think it's you're at huge risk is it technically will take significantly longer than it takes you to make the art.
Oh, really?
Because, you know, it doesn't just spit out a perfect thing right away.
Oh, you
kind of got to go through like 50 iterations of deciding, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I want a variation of this, I want an improvement of this, stuff like that, you know? So it's going to take all episode for me to actually spit something good out, but at the end of the episode, maybe we'll reveal it and see what's interesting.
Sounds good. It's a good way to keep people tuning in, you know, throughout the show. We should do it every episode. It should be a thing.
Well, that's what I'm not going to commit to that yet, but I will. We'll see if it works. If it's something people like, then that's good. If we like it, whatever. But other than that, that's it. We got to get moving because we have a bit of a time limit. It's episode 555 celebration, and we've got some executive producers to thank.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. We are entirely funded and produced by producers like you. If you get value from this show, you have the opportunity, or some think of it as a responsibility, to put value back in. And that can come in many forms: your time, your talent, or your treasure. Everybody has something to give to the show if the show is something that brings value to your life. But finances are a part of that. And our executive producers are people who support the show financially, and they do so in a generous way, in such a generous way that it, carries a heavy load for the rest of us. And we got a couple people to thank. Let's thank them now.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Starting with executive producer Rebecca B.
Rebecca B. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry. There we go. Thank you, Rebecca B.
Thank you very much, executive producer Rebecca B, coming in with 105.55 for episode 555. That's very nice. Says, I usually listen on Audible the day after you've aired, but I wanted to celebrate episode 555. The Hebrew letter Hey is also number 5. It means behold. With 3 Heys, look for the good Father has in store. Hey, hey, hey. 1 John 3:1.
That's awesome.
Pay attention. Behold, behold, behold. Thank you very much, executive producer Rebecca B.
Rebecca B.
Where'd you find this?
I like that. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey. Listen up. Look, pay attention. Next up, hey, we've got executive producer Caleb.
Hey, Caleb.
Executive producer Caleb comes in with 105.55.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caleb.
We did not set this amount, by the way. This was sort of a natural amount that came through. Executive producer Caleb has a note, says, happy 555, boys. Here's to 555 more. Thank you for all the value you have provided and continue to provide. All glory to God. Amen. Caleb, thank you very much.
Thank you, Caleb.
Where'd you find this?
Okay, we also have executive producer Jules.
Thank you, Jules.
Yeah, executive producer Jules. It was hard to discern the exact amount that came in here. I think it was 121.54.
Interesting.
Not positive. The fee structure is a little strange on this one. So it was either 121.54 or 127.63, if any of those numbers mean anything to anybody.
Yeah.
But executive producer Jules says, hey, Baz and Gons, because you're reading this out loud, I want to say Yeshua is king. Okay, yes, we can all agree on that. Let's all live our lives as if this is the reality, because it is. And let's show the world what the kingdom of earth is really like. Oh, the glory, blessings, Jules. Thank you very much, executive producer Jules.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. Thank you to all of our executive producers. I believe that concludes the list. Let me just double check. Yes, it does. That's wonderful. Wonderful showing for executive producers. Now, I do want to remind everybody it's not too late to support the show if you want to and are in a position to do so safely. You can go to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And I will say this, we do every episode that, is a triple digit episode. We have the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames special. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames is an elite squadron of producers who have supported the show in the amount of $1,000 or more over time or all at once, whatever works for them. And they become knighted or damed, and they get they're honored on the show. They get a title. It's a whole awesome thing. And every triple digit episode, we have a knighting and damning special where instead of the $1,000 limit, we make it equal to whatever the 3-digit episode is. Today, 555. So that is still a 45% discount on knighting if anybody is interested in taking advantage of that. Of course, and this goes without saying, but just in case somebody out there gets offended, this is obviously optional, volunteer. Nobody put yourself in harm's way. We understand that economic situation around the world is unstable, to say the least. Yeah. But if you are someone who wants to take advantage of this, you can head over to canarycryradio.com/support. I will stick a direct link into the chat here if anybody's interested, just to make it easier for you. Right now, nobody is taking advantage of this, which will be the first time that nobody has taken advantage of it. But it's not surprising. It's not a big deal. Just there if you want it. Yep. But we will have some knightings and damnings because, if y'all will remember, episode 500, there was a knighting and damning drive during episode 500 to get your hands on the episode 500 challenge coin. And today is the conclusion of that sort of layaway program. So we've got a couple people to knight and dame. And if you received an email from us regarding that, go ahead and answer that email, and we'll get you knighted and damed whenever you get back to us. All right. Other than that, Gons, I think we're going to go. Of course, go to canarycrymeetups.com. And I do want to mention real quick the supply drop, because we now are in November. So let's hit supply drop really quick. That's right. Canary Cry Supply Drop is our special producer program for those producers who want to support the show in the amount of $33.33 per month. Keep the show going, show your appreciation, and join the team that keeps this show going, especially during the economic instability. It has been a lifesaver. But with the Supply Drop program, you also receive 4 times a year, once per quarter, a special package full of custom producer-produced, artist-designed, made in America Canary Cry News Talk gear. And this 4th quarter shipment is coming up soon. And this is the only way to get the Canary Cry calendar, which is a treasured relic, a treasured tradition. This will be the 3rd year the Canary Cry calendar will be sent out. It is a calendar filled with artist art and chock-a-block full of special dates regarding, conspiracy theories and secret societies and the show and the Bible and all sorts of really a beautiful thing put together by producers of the show. And the only way to get it is to join the supply drop this month. Now, this last supply drop also is a special one for a couple reasons. Everybody who signs up for this supply drop will also get a free bonus gift that is the Canary Cry mixtape on cassette. That's right. We had professionally manufactured cassette tapes with a bunch of producer music on it. It is really cool. It is really, a lot of the supply droppers are just dumbfounded by how awesome that piece is. And we had a few left over for manufacturing, so we want to give those away to new signer-uppers. But that's not all, guys. That's not all. This is a very special supply drop because one of the most requested items, not just from supply droppers, but from people everywhere, is that we make quality shirts. People want shirts, Gons. Shirts. And so we have been working hard. We, as in mostly producer Isaac, who is really the mastermind and the genius behind a lot of the supply drop, is working on putting together. We are working on a secret project that would debut next year, January. But to test out this secret project, we are including the very first, it's not the first Canary Cry t-shirt. It is the very first Canary Cry News Talk t-shirt, officially licensed Canary Cry News Talk t-shirt, will be coming in this supply drop. And you may be wondering, why is Basil making such a big deal about this? Doesn't seem like a very big deal. Doesn't seem like difficult to do. Look, it's difficult mainly in the administration of it, because we got to take sizes. We want it to be quality. Like, we don't want to do kind of a junky, scritchy shirt. You know, it's too easy to make kind of a cheap shirt and just try to sling as many of them as possible. That's not what we want to do. We try to make all the supply drop things the highest quality we can. And so we're making a top-notch quality t-shirt for Canary Cry News Talk. It's Wake Up Time Canary Cry News Talk first gen t-shirt will be coming in this supply drop. That being said, I am told by producer Isaac that all current supply droppers have been sent an email that they need to open and they need to answer the questions within. If you do not do this, you are leaving it up to fate on the details of your shirt. So if you are a current supply dropper, check your email, look for a email from Canary Cry Supply Drop, answer that email. And if you are not yet a supply dropper, this would be an excellent time and an excellent supply drop to get involved. And you know, I'm actually quite proud of Isaac specifically, but all of us, Gons, because we have been doing the supply drop for one whole year. For one whole year, we have kept the system going. It just keeps getting better and better. People are so excited about it. It's really wonderful. So we're perfecting the system and the products and things that we send out. And really, it's just a thank you. It's just a thank you to producers who support the show. You know, everything we send out is a gift because your producing of the show is because you support the show. Other than that, go to canarycrysupply.com. Go do it. canarycrysupply.com. We'll put the link in the chat here. And, you know, we're hoping to add some new producers to that list so we can hit the new year going strong. And I just hope you guys like it. We work really hard on it. Okay, canarycrysupply.com. Let's get on with the show. Waiting for supply drop. There we go.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update, folks. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses, and replacing our podcasters. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robot's taken over the world, and now there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update, Gons, is coming from DailyMail.co.uk. The headline: AI can speak to animals, all caps, in a breakthrough that breaches the barrier of interspecies communication.
Good.
Experts warn. The experts, Gons. They warn humans could use this ability to manipulate the wild species.
Wow.
Jeez Louise, Daily Mail. I'm just going to hit the bullet points on this one.
Yeah.
Because it kind of speaks for itself. Artificial intelligence is being used to communicate with animals that could soon provide the same ability to humans. Okay. A team of German researchers trained AI to mimic a honeybee's waggle dance. Gons, are you ready to learn the waggle dance from the AI?
As long as, you know, as long as we are communicating to the honeybees to, you know, make some better tasting honey.
To make some more honey?
Yeah. And not to attack, I don't know, farmers.
Okay. Farmers.
Just saying, it says it could manipulate the wild species. What kind of manipulation?
Waggle dance.
Yeah. Continue.
What? Are you here? Am I having a stroke? What are you saying?
I'm saying continue.
Okay. The AI powered a robot inside a hive. So there's a robotic little bee, which controlled the bees' movements. Waggle dance. The technology can also pick up the low frequency sound of elephants and decipher clicking made by whales. Decipher, Gons. Not just hear or catalog, but decipher the whale calls. However, experts fear humans could use the technology to manipulate animals. And my question for those experts is, why else would we be doing this? What do you mean the experts are worried we will manipulate animals with it? And also, look, not to defend Flippy here, but humans have been manipulating wild animals for thousands of years, for as long as any human alive can remember.
From as long as the biblical sort of establishment of the order of creation and man, having authority over beast, kind of thing.
Yes. Now this bee is called Robo-Bee, Gons. Robo-Bee, which is excellent. And it's a little Robo-Bee that can do a little waggle dance and actually tell bees what to do, and they listen up. Obviously, the bee thing is very interesting. The communication of bees is a fascinating area of study. And I'm thinking, we talked a lot about the bees. Obviously, bees are now fish, where you come from, Gons.
Yes.
I don't know if you need me to change my language. They figured out how to talk to fish.
Yeah, you're going to offend the whole colony. I don't appreciate that. Continue.
Yeah. And we've talked about getting some bees out here on the Canary Cry compound. And I think if we can learn this little waggle dance, we can really get an army of bees to do our bidding for the Canarium.
There's a little video here that shows a little robotic prodding finger looking thing, and it highlights the robot amongst the bees in the hive. And this sort of, it tracks the robot, obviously, and it reminds me, or at least speaks to me in a way where it's like, okay, this is sort of how we've already created some sort of artificial intelligent thing to be amongst the humans, and we track how it responds, and it listens to the robot. It's got the same sort of vibe.
Yeah. Well, we have in the social engineering aspect of the Flippy update, we have robots bridging the gap between humans and animals. And, which is a pretty heavy idea, that it takes, an artificial intelligence, takes a robot to bridge the gap between living things. Another example of how technology is being set up as, an evolutionary process or an evolutionary force rather than just a tool or something like that it will not only change the way we interact with the world, but change us as well.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this article has a picture and it's got a little SETI ecosystem. It shows the whales and the biology, and it's got this whole sort of ecosystem drawn out. And within it, there's an upside down star pentagram.
Yes, it's got a pentagram thing going on.
It's like, all right, okay, I guess. And it's pointing to machine learning. So the circular biology, data processing, machine learning, and linguistics. Sort of the cycle, the Ouroboros of translation.
It's kind of a systems map for the process there. Yeah.
Of course, they're invoking a cult.
It's got to be a pentagram. Of course, it's the only thing that makes sense. That's so the elites can actually understand what the scientists are talking about. I don't get it.
Draw this pentagram. Ah, yes, it makes perfect sense.
See, it's the pentagram. See, you know that one, lizard people. Anyways, so there you go. Flippy is not only flipping our burgers, stealing our jobs, stealing our wives, but also helping us talk to our friend Fido, or the bees, or the dogs, or whatever, which, I don't know if it's going to be very useful, because they're already making robo-bees, robo-dogs, things like that can understand English. But whatever you got to do, scientists, whatever you got to do to get that paycheck, you guys just keep doing you.
You do you. Speaking of you doing you.
Chocolate is good for your teeth. I like it better than anything else. I enjoy it. Chocolate. Science is the answer. Science, 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 and science.
That crazy Nancy. She is crazy.
He doesn't know what he's talking about once again.
She's lost
once again.
Yeah.
All right. Just a quick update, and then we're going to skim right past it because it's been, we were asking the question, okay, what is this Pelosi attack? What's the deal? Why?
What's the distraction?
Just all of it?
We did ask explicitly what they were distracting from.
Right. And it all boiled down to the confusion around it serves only one purpose, to distract. And so we'll get to that in a second. But there was a CNN update here. U.S. Capitol Police first learned of Paul Pelosi attack through live camera feed of House. And
so Twitter can officially verify that it happened because surveillance cameras caught the event.
Yes, of course. And the details, they just don't get any more clear. It just keeps getting more confusing. I'll summarize for you for time's sake. Basically, the Capitol Police, they have a 24-hour video camera feed of Pelosi's house for security reasons.
Of course,
right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as we've been told, Nancy wasn't there, and so the majority of her security guards weren't there, and that's how he was able to get in.
Oh, this sparked a debate about protection, service protection and stuff like that. Like, hey, shouldn't their families also be included in the whole thing? So, yeah. Continue.
Well, they kind of are.
That's what I thought, too.
Turns out that there was security there. It is unclear whether this was Capitol Police or a security guard. A little bit on that in a second. Long story short, Capitol Police had a 24-hour video feed of the Pelosi house, and just like nobody was watching it. Just nobody was watching it. Nobody noticed what was going on.
Another case for AI, by the way. To monitor everything, to make sure to flag or notify some people if something goes down. Continue.
Nobody noticed that anything was going on or that it had been broken into until, somebody at Capitol Police walked by their monitor and saw police lights out in front of Pelosi's
Is that a
house.
hammer? What's happening?
Yeah.
Should I call someone?
Oh, nuts. I was supposed to be watching that. And, it says specifically in the article, like, it's unclear whether somebody was supposed to be watching it or not, with Pelosi not there. So all the, organizations are being a bit tight-lipped about if somebody should have been watching or not. But long story short, they could have been watching, or maybe they were, who knows, and did nothing. Now, there's also a piece of this article that talks about a security guard
the third person.
A security guard outside saw David DePepe in a black hoodie carrying a black bag and saw him sort of casing the joint and walking around. And then they just kind of dropped the issue. They don't say who the security guard was. They don't say the security guard did anything. They don't say the security guard followed him or anything. They just say, like, yeah, a security guard saw him. Okay, well, security guard saw him. What, he's that's not suspicious.
No, he's the guy.
Loitering man in all black with a backpack outside of Pelosi's house.
He was his watchman.
They just totally dropped the issue.
He was the informant and the watchman. Like, yeah, go in there. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Sure. The whole thing is so much more confusing. And, goes into some statements from DePepe now, who admits he wanted to kidnap Nancy and break her kneecaps so that she would have to go, get wheeled up in a wheelchair in Congress and send a message, the whole thing. Okay, so it's just the whole thing. And, of course, it's just all about elections are coming up. Elections are coming up. Remember, elections are coming up. Yeah. So that's the deal. Now, more confusion serves to distract from a very big story that came out today. And it's on the topic of being watched.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Hello, I'm the CIA. I love your mass surveillance programs.
Now, this is an interesting update. This is coming from the Intercept. Yes, the Intercept, the outlet started by Glenn Greenwald, or at least co-founded by Glenn Greenwald. He was later then kicked out for not being sort of tyrannical enough or supporting, tyrannical government censorship, stuff like that. But they've carried on without him. And the headline is simply, Truth Cops. Truth Cops. And it is an extremely long article. It is very thorough, and I highly recommend people check it out. If you have our newsletter, you have this link right in your email box. Go check it out. Read the whole thing. Excellent sort of conglomeration of history and current events and things, telling you what's leading up to this whole situation. Here's the opener. The Department of Homeland Security is quietly broadening its efforts to curb speech it considers dangerous. An investigation by the Intercept has found years of internal DHS memos, emails, and documents obtained via leaks and an ongoing lawsuit, as well as public documents, illustrate an expansive effort by the agency to influence tech platforms. The work, much of which remains unknown to the American public, came into clearer view earlier this year when DHS announced a new Disinformation Governance Board, a panel designed to police misinformation, false information spread unintentionally, disinformation, false information spread intentionally, and malinformation, factual information shared, typically out of context, with harmful intent, that allegedly threatens U.S. interests. Now, I can't quite credit the Intercept 100% with getting this, sort of spiritually right, because with harmful intent, with malinformation, is not the actual wording of the DHS categorization of malinformation. The actual wording of malinformation is factual information that decreases trust in the government, which is much different than with harmful intent.
Same thing. Come on. Same thing to the people writing the document.
So the Intercept is sort of walking this very fine line of, freedom and, the spirit of the freedom of speech and the Constitution and kind of liberty-mindedness, but also still kind of towing the line of thought crime is real.
Right. It's an actual problem. We're not dismissing the problem, but this is how it's described.
Yeah, but they do say this, and malinformation that allegedly threatens U.S. interests.
Right.
While the board was widely ridiculed, immediately scaled back, and then shut down within a few months, other initiatives are underway as DHS pivots to monitoring social media now that its original mandate, the war on terror, has wound down. And this ties into some great, analysis that we've gone through before, which is the exit from Afghanistan, the war on terror, even the war on drugs, has made obsolete lots of, areas of the intelligence apparatus,
the domain
the military,
of warfare, the domain of this type of these different layers of warfare. Yeah.
And because of the wind down of the war on terror, DHS, which was created to protect America after 9/11. So 21 years ago, it was created, to protect America from terrorists. Well, now that ISIS has been defeated and Al-Qaeda is apparently on our team again, and all these the terrorism frenzy is kind of over. Instead of the government going, oh, okay, mission accomplished. Let's shut down this agency that we created for a purpose. The purpose is no longer needed. Let's, debureaucratize and cut down this useless agency.
Yeah, save some cash.
Mission creep, baby. Mission creep.
It's kind of like
comes into play.
They identify, the war on terror. Who's a terrorist? But now they've wound it down. They've reshaped it to where now they're watching all of the people on social media, or basically like us, and say, who's a terrorist? Who's a terrorist?
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, you're like a crack addict that needs more terrorist as crack.
Johns?
Yes.
And this article catalogs how literal anti-terrorism FBI agents, DHS agents, anti-terrorism trained professionals. Their literal jobs, a lot of them, have been changed to sit at a computer and monitor Twitter posts, monitor Twitter users. These were guys who were hunting down, jihadists, and
they get to live it out again once the metaverse is set up. They get to do their, Call of Duty style takedown of other terrorists or online terrorist trolls, and
they even have quotes from some FBI agents saying like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, my job is to sit here and monitor the posts of a Twitter account that has 56 followers and has. This is a satirical account in the bio, and their job is to sit there and watch everything that they post. Even the agents themselves are like, what are we doing? And this Intercept article does a great job of breaking down the government's creep into social media tech platform space. And I was going to read a lot more of it, but the thing is we already know this. We've been following this 3 times a week for years now. So we all know how the government has direct ties with big tech. They make direct requests, even though it's not like legally required, that these tech companies know that they need to play ball or else they don't get their government contracts or their blah, 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 right? So we all know this, but it is laid out directly. So much like when in 2012, when we were telling everybody that Facebook was spying on them and everybody called us conspiracy theorists, this is a great opportunity to share this article from the Intercept, who is by all means a liberal outlet, to let your skeptical friends and family know that you're not a crazy person and you've been right all along. There's some sort of scary quotes here. This one is from Microsoft executive Matt Masterson, who was a former Department of Homeland Security official. So he's a former DHS official who's now an executive at Microsoft. In a text message to Jen Easterly, a current DHS director, in February, Matt says, quote, platforms have got to get comfortable with government. It's really interesting how hesitant they remain. Just like, yeah, it's weird. I don't know why all these tech platforms are uncomfortable with the government coming in and telling them what to do and who to censor and things like that. And I will say, the Intercept does not pull punches when it comes to not even accusing, because they have the quotes, they have the evidence, but simply stating outright, the Biden administration explicitly is overstepping even the spirit of the law on how much the government can be involved. And let's see here. There was this section. Here we go. According to a draft copy of DHS's Quadrennial Homeland Security Review, DHS's capstone report for outlining the department's strategy and priorities in the coming years, the department plans to target, quote, inaccurate information on a wide range of topics, including, quote, the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, and the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines, of course, racial justice, which is interesting, U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the nature of U.S. Exactly. And the nature of U.S. support to Ukraine. So I think it's interesting that the withdrawal from Afghanistan is involved, because it is explicitly the withdrawal from Afghanistan that was the sort of
it was a starting block of the Ukraine situation. It was a transition to the Ukraine thing, which they now are using.
Ukraine was already planned. Yeah, we needed to pull out of Afghanistan. We called it on this show. We said 6 months we'll be in another war. Yeah. 6 months exactly we were in Ukraine. And interesting, because remember, this is the Biden administration's DHS. You can make a point for, domestic terrorism and public health and stuff like that. censoring information on the withdrawal from Afghanistan is explicitly a political issue. It is explicitly political protection for the Biden administration. So the Biden administration is using the Department of Homeland Security to explicitly protect himself from the botched pullout of Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That is not just sneaky, but it's very unethical when you lay it out that way, because
it is absolutely
an abuse of power, an overstep of I mean, this is crazy. Imagine if Trump did this, something similar, where there's an issue and then he made it explicitly through some kind of council or a group of whatever, a government institution, that talking about or false information about those topics gets you censored, basically shut down. That is crazy.
Right. Exactly. And the inclusion, this is in the article here, the inclusion of the 2021 U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is particularly noteworthy, given that House Republicans, should they take the majority in the midterms, which it looks like they might, have vowed to investigate. Quote, "This makes Benghazi look like a much smaller issue," said Representative Mike Johnson, a member of the Armed Service Committee, adding that finding answers, quote, "will be a top priority." So using the Department of Homeland Security to control the public message on the pullout from Afghanistan is explicitly and admittedly, from the Intercept, a political move to protect him from a legitimate political investigation by Republicans. If, like you said, if Trump was doing this, it would be front page of every single newspaper across the country. It goes on to say how disinformation is defined by the government has not been clearly articulated, and the inherently subjective nature of what constitutes disinformation provides a broad opening for DHS officials to make politically motivated determinations about what constitutes dangerous speech. This is from the Intercept. And that is sort of the biggest part of the story, because we know all this. We knew that they weren't going to actually shut it down. We knew that they were moving forward with this. But, the Intercept has been sort of notoriously left on every single issue, especially during COVID. So for them to put out to their people an extensive report about the abuses of what amounts to a law enforcement agency by the Biden administration is really incredible. Especially, what is it, 9 days from an election?
Yeah, it really does feel like, creating the right-left paradigm and then watching the overlords who nobody's paying attention to continue to just clamp down. And do so pretty explicitly at this point. I mean, this is...
Oh, yeah. They're egregious. Not even... It's really egregious. And I recommend everybody read the whole thing. There's so much more to go into. I mean, they even say in here, just as an example, U.S. officials have routinely lied about an array of issues, from the causes of its wars in Vietnam and Iraq to the more recent obfuscation around the role of National Institutes of Health in funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology's coronavirus research. The Intercept is talking about Fauci's funding of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. These were the things that were getting us kicked off of YouTube repeatedly for years. And now they're being talked about in blatant terms, talking about specifically the government censoring these things, which we were a victim of. Lost 250,000 followers on YouTube because of this exact thing. And now it's here in its full glory, laid out here on the Intercept. It's really incredible to watch.
Yeah.
There's so much more I highlighted, but it really just, you got to go read it, folks, because things are really, I mean, I don't know what the response was. We didn't think there would be any response. The backlash to the entire 2 years that 2.5 years we've all lived through is already exponentially more towards the power structures than I ever thought that it would be. It gives me a little bit of hope. I don't want to get too, excited about it, but it looks like things are happening, and they will continue to happen. If there is any justice in this world, this will not go unnoticed.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, because it's typical for, I don't know, the patterns, at least that I've noticed concerning these types of issues, is it comes in waves, and a lot of times things get established somewhat in the night, kind of quietly, and then it gets abused much later down the line. They don't abuse it right away, because then it'll create the uproar, but just they'll let it exist for a while before they really start to abuse it. But
it does highlight what, which is a subtlety and a complexity that we have always tried to keep in mind during our work, is that there is competition going at the top levels. It's 100%. Easy for skeptics to kind of imagine the top levels as sort of a unified front against the people.
Or people new to the whole idea, the truth kind of stuff. Yeah. It's like one unanimous thing at the top, but it's not
the first sort of level of waking up to what's going on in the world. It's easy to get stuck in this idea that the top of the pyramid is one well-oiled machine that is working in concert with itself. And I'm not even saying the government is the top of the pyramid, but you know what I'm talking about. But there is back and forth. There are things happening, and that's why we try to keep up with it.
It's kind of like musical chairs. It's musical chairs, and they're fighting. It's
back.
Yeah,
I
know.
Just to make the point of it, there's an interesting point where we are used to corporations influencing the government, and corporations infiltrating the government, using the government for the purposes of corporations, and there's an interesting push now, which we haven't quite seen to this degree, where the government is trying to puppet corporations, trying to take the strings of the marionette, if you will, of corporations, and kind of reverse that control mechanism. It is a long-standing American tradition for corporations and business to manipulate the government for their own profitable ends. We are living through a period where the government, for possibly the first time, is gaining some ground in actually controlling corporations. And neither of these things are very good. The corporatization of the American government causes huge problems. But the sort of governization of U.S. corporations, that is a problem kind of the opposite, but entirely similar in horribleness. Whereas corporations controlling government is very American, government controlling corporations is very, China, CCP.
That's what I was going to say, that the CCP perfected this model of allowing corporations to flourish and then clamping down. So this is very similar in tactic in that regard. So the China effect, this big split happening in America, the Democrats sort of turning against a more progressive thing and starting to sound more conservative, all that happening is because of the infiltration of China in this country, I would say, or a big part of it anyway. So
Yeah, absolutely. And you can draw direct connections between the Biden administration and China in so many different data points. Yeah. And that's what you're kind of seeing. You're seeing the current administration trying to create a relationship, a reverse relationship of the already corrupt American system, which is corporations controlling government, but trying to emulate more of a Chinese model, which is government controlling corporations. And I think at its core, I'm not even saying there's good guys and bad guys involved in this.
Well, there's perceived good guys and bad guys, and that's part of the harvesting process, the divide and conquer.
Yeah, you can. It's part of the propaganda. You can take a side, and they want you to take their side. Right. But I'm not saying there's good guys and bad guys necessarily, but it is a high level ideological battle. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing.
And we're all just pawns being washed on the waves of society. Speaking of one of those things, let's talk real quick because it's Wednesday. We'll do a little bit of Russia, Ukraine.
Russia.
Fight for Ukraine.
Ukraine, New World Order.
Speaking of trolls, the International Business Times has a headline. Ukraine army trolls Russia with Ouija board to say stay connected to 71,800 dead soldiers.
Ooh, brutal.
This is brutal.
Oh,
brutal.
That is, they are. You know what? Those Ukrainian trolls, they really know how to hurt the Russians' feelings.
Ukraine on Monday mocked Russia's Ministry of Defense, saying it will send a Ouija board to help it stay in touch with Russian soldiers who were killed in the war. Russia invaded Ukraine February 24th. Since then, Russia has lost about 71,820 soldiers, including 620 in the past day, per estimates from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Quote, "So it's Halloween. Everyone thinks about the treats. Perhaps it's time we send an Ouija board to the Russian Ministry of Defense so they can stay connected with over 70,000 of their personnel in Ukraine," the Defense Ministry wrote in a Twitter post. And, you know, I thought, okay, is this some blue check mark? No, this is Defense of Ukraine at Defense U, and it's got the little tag that says Ukraine Government Organization. So that is where we are in the world, folks. I mean, this is probably from the intel, you know, those guys that used to bust bad guys like 007 who are now just stuck behind a laptop, you know, having to monitor.
Yeah, right.
All that collectively, they were able to conjure up this type of tweet, which is the new form of magic in so many ways. The Defense Ministry also made a number of other Halloween-themed posts mocking Russia's losses in the war, including a short video tutorial on turning a Russian M18 helicopter into a jack-o'-lantern, and another celebrating the Ukrainian Air Force's success in shooting down over 40 Russian missiles, quote, before their first cup of coffee. Quote, the short video tutorial from UA Army on how to turn a Russian Mi-8 into a flaming jack-o'-lantern, the Defense Ministry wrote in one post. So the trolling continues here. We don't necessarily have to watch these or break them down too much, but it says down here, on the occasion of Halloween, the Russians decided to carry out another act of missile terror, but tomorrow is All Saints' Day. Saint Javelin and Saint HIMARS will subdue the evil spirits, the post read.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, especially in America, where, you know, the people putting support for Ukraine in their Twitter bio and their red and blue flags and things like that, they're the tolerant people. They're the nice people.
Right.
They're the, you know, they're the decent people. And, you know, I just don't think any of them are going to realize how,
well,
really, I mean, it's kind of inhumane. I mean, look, you can make an argument for a lot of things being inhumane, but that is just especially brutal form of psychological warfare.
Well, if you're doing all that virtue signaling for Ukraine right now, and you know the head of the snake, or at least near the head of the snake, is making these types of social media posts, I don't know. It feels like you should be able to tell that something is not well with the whole sort of the spirit of it all. But it is also, you know, a lot of this, the Ouija board and references to the occult, of course, the Halloween thing, but it's also in response to what Putin is doing, continuing to push this sort of religious war. And Newsweek.com had this a week ago, Putin appointed chief exorcist as Kremlin whips up satanic panic. And here it says Vladimir Putin has been named chief exorcist by the head of the country's Orthodox Church, as the Kremlin seeks to redefine the goals of its invasion of Ukraine. And Alexei Pavlov, Assistant Secretary of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, is now calling for the desatanization of Ukraine, saying that there were, quote, hundreds of sects in the country where citizens have abandoned Orthodox values. Quote, I believe that with the continuation of the special military operation, it becomes more and more urgent to carry out the desatanization of Ukraine, Pavlov said, according to state-run Russian news agency TASS. Quote, using internet manipulation and psychotechnologies. Psychotechnologies. The new regime turned Ukraine from a sovereign state to a totalitarian hypersect, said Pavlov. The Russian politician added in Ukraine, quote, "There are hundreds of sex sharpening for a specific goal and flock." So really getting real scientific. Pavlov says he is particularly concerned about the Church of Satan, which allegedly, quote, spread across Ukraine and, quote, is one of the officially registered religions in the U.S. Oh, the U.S. and their satanic West.
Yeah.
Recognizing Satanists or the Church of Satan as an official organization, which, again, it's man, the dividing lines for all this is becoming very, very uncomfortable for, I think, everybody.
Yeah.
I would say, especially, God-believing, God-fearing believers in the West, or at least just religious people trying to uphold American values, but then are being sort of baited into at least agreeing with some points made by Russia and carrying water for Putin, as is accused. But it's all sort of it's manipulative. The social engineering aspect of it is pretty powerful when it comes to having to take sides. Like, oh, are you for Satan now? Are you a Satanist? So anyway, very interesting.
No, he continues to make it into a sort of religious war. It's apparently effective. I don't really know. It's hard to believe anything you hear about Russia or coming out of Russia, but
yeah, of course.
The reporting on this is very interesting because it seems geared towards a Western audience of like, isn't this ridiculous? But I wonder what the reception is like within Russia.
Within Russia, that'd be interesting. There is a large Orthodox community there. But in the U.S., at least, I think it has something to do. First off, CNBC also carried this in their headline. Putin says risk of world conflict is high. Moscow officials calls for desatanization in Ukraine. The same story. But also, I've had this article here from studyfinds.org and tying it back to the elections here in the U.S. It says Americans unsure about God are fast-growing force in politics and typically even more politically active than white evangelicals. And it goes through the whole thing there, and it says here just a couple highlights. In 2008, almost 8% of the entire U.S. population claimed to be atheist or agnostic, according to my analysis of data from the Cooperative Election Study, or CES, an annual study coordinated by a team at Harvard University. By 2021, that share had risen to just about 12%, but atheists and agnostics are often left-leaning in their political persuasion, and their rapid ascendance in the American religious landscape is proving much more consequential to the Democratic Party than the GOP. And then later here, there's a segment here titled Atheists and Agnostics Are More Politically Engaged Than White Evangelicals. And it basically goes over that. It's just a number of people that are identify as atheist or agnostic, much more likely to go to political rallies, as opposed to, for example, 5% of white evangelicals. So, January 6th, the real minorities came out to play that day, I guess, according to mainstream stuff. So anyway, I think that's what the reason why the media would paint Russia and continue to highlight the religious aspect of this is to maintain the herd of the God skeptics who are left-leaning, who are Democrats, largely or more, as a majority, and maybe grow that pot of human souls, if you will, to count for more votes. So I don't know, just my little side note there, but I see the connection with the timing of everything, the framing, the elections, and also the religious conversation in the United States. So
absolutely. All right. Well, sounds good. With all that going on, Gons, I think it's time we take a second and remember to, once in a while, have a little party.
Should we? I don't know. It's a party.
Yeah, I think so.
Go to canarycry.party. It's a website with a tree of links that leads to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, connect with us and the community.
That's right. Go check it out. CanaryCry.party. It's a wonderful place with all sorts of resources that'll get you connected to the community, get connected to, well, all sorts of Canary Cry stuff. We've got other podcasts. We've got the Canary Cry Mixtape Volume 1 is back and functional, folks. You can listen to it right there on CanaryCry.party. It'll open up a little player, or you can find it on a bunch of your favorite music playing apps like Spotify. Canary Cry Mixtape Volume 1. But of course, for those retro gearheads, you can get your cassette version as well in the supply drop. We've got Canary Cry Clips, which is where this show gets segmented out, clipped up piece by piece, more bite-sized, shareable pieces that you can share with your friends, share on social media, all sorts of fun stuff. Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey. Go check it out. And last but not least, text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's Canary to 877-740-3226. And you can join our text message alert program. We just send out a little text message before every show just to let you know that it's happening. And in the case that the censorship trolls, do their work, their dark work, that is a great way to have a direct messaging connection to let you know where we will be, where we won't be, things like that. So go check it out, CanaryCry.party. And you can also support the show there, become a producer. And let's thank some producers right now.
Let us break.
It's break time!
That's right. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and thank some of our producers. That's right. I said producers because we're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. No advertisements, affiliate codes, platform partnerships, no nothing. We are entirely funded by listeners like you. And when you support the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure, lots of ways to get involved, you become a producer. And, it's really a revolutionary way of imagining what independent media of not only today, but of the future is like. Because as we know, we've all learned the lesson now that if corporations get involved at all with independent media, it's basically no longer independent.
Game over, man.
If they're playing ads, if they're, whatever it is, there are levels of self-censoring, editing, editorializing that needs to be done in order to keep that money flowing from the corporations. It's unfortunate, but it is just sort of the way it is. And even mainstream, flagship, even independent shows, news analysis programs that claim to be independent, there's, they're all realizing that they can, they're realizing that people are waking up, that, if something is for the people, it needs to be funded by the people. But they're also running ads. They're also taking money from corporations that'll give it to them. And I think, without sort of being too inflammatory about it, we just don't think that's the way it should be. You're either value for value or you're taking money from corporations. If you're doing both, it's just too much about the money. Okay. So it is a sort of an ideological stance that we take. But it's also one that we hope that people who listen to this show understand, because it's very simple. Either this show gets produced or it doesn't. And, we, of course, play a big role in that, but so do our producers. So the people that we thank during this segment, they are the people who are keeping this show alive, at least for this episode. So let's thank them now, Gons.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. Let's start out. Let's see here. Not the longest list. We had a wonderful showing of execs. Let me see. Sorry, the list is so short. I have to get rid of some of these things. Let's start out with Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas. And this is his 66th episode in a row. Ooh. So we must execute Order 66.
Oh, no, you have 66.
Order 66.
Oh, Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas, thank you very much. Sent a little note here that says, I forgot it was episode 555 here. Thank you very much. Sent us $55.50 for episode 555.
Thank you very much, Sir Darren.
Next up, we got Sir Morph, Night of the Burning Chariots, 160 episodes in a row.
160? Thank you very much.
Comes in with the 1111.
Oh, that's right. 1111. Sorry. A little straggly.
Furf in the chat says, I stopped producing after they stopped shaming us with Grumpy Uncle. Maybe it's time we do start shaming people into producing the show.
Shame might be a good...
We were trying to go easy on you guys, but maybe the shame is the way to go.
Yeah, I don't know if waking up Grumpy Uncle is a good idea, though.
Well, Grumpy Uncle didn't even have anything to do with producership. That was a review shame.
I know. It's cross-pollinates into other areas. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just shame Furf. Furf, shame. Grumpy Uncle's coming for you. You better produce the show. Next up, we got Sir LX Protocol V2, Night of the Berean Protocol, Pocket Full of Sevens, 96 episodes in a row.
96.
Quicker. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that...
Oh, no, he has a note, does he not?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, he has a note that says, it's Wednesday, my dudes.
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
Thanks for everything you do. It is hard to keep going sometimes. Whew. Amen, Sir Alex Protocol. I pray for you and all the producers. Thank you very much. Wow, what a wonderful note. Sorry, I almost missed that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that concludes the list of producers who came in for $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. Three producers. 1, 2, 3, and all streakers. Yeah. Maybe we should start shaming people. That might be the shortest list maybe ever. But thank you especially for an episode 555. All right. But we do have a list of streakers who come in under the 777 cutoff, and we're going to thank them right now, starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 226 episodes in a row.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's comes in with the 191 episodes in a row.
Women rule.
Thank you very much.
And then we have Runk Smash coming in 10 episodes in a row.
Runk Smash. Are you sure it's 10? I think it's 11.
I think you're right. I think I messed up on that. I think it is 11 episodes in a row. Okay. Oops. Yes, thank you very much, Runk Smash. And even that, Gons, only 3 producers in the under 777 category.
Yeah.
Now, I can almost guarantee we're going to have a couple of these people come in. So I'm going to thank them now. Maybe they'll probably come in during the show or later today. I'm just going to go ahead and thank Sir Scott Knight of Truth.
Thank you, Sir Scott Knight.
And credit him for 215 episodes in a row.
215.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Thank you, Sir
and
Scott.
we're going to credit Veronica D with 191 episodes in a row.
Women rule.
Thank you, Veronica D.
But those are technically in abeyance. Yeah. Thank God for the executive producers today, because very interesting day. I wonder of course we know
Fed meeting.
The world is as it is.
Rate hikes. That's what's happening.
That's its own. People are not taking out mortgages to support the show because the rates are so high.
It's just today, Powell, this is his hawkish stance, the 0.75. It's causing people to not support the show.
Well, let's keep moving, Gons, because we have thank you to all of our producers for your patronage.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
And we have some knighthoods to do. This is fun. Yes. Now, I sent out an email to everybody whom it concerns, and I have not heard back from many, so we may have these trickling in over the next few episodes. But today is episode 555, which means that the episode 500 challenge coin layaway program concludes today. And there were 8 individuals who were on this program, 2 of which were already knights and dames. But for the rest of them, they earned their discounted knight and damehood today, which is very exciting.
Congratulations.
And we have, as of now, 2 of the individuals have their information sent in. And that is Christina D. and Guthbrander came in, and we'll be knighting and daming them respectively. And this is very fun, folks. We're very proud of these people. We appreciate them very much because they committed $10 per episode from episode 500 to episode 555, which technically puts them at the discount amount that 555 would allow them. And in addition, they get the challenge coin for episode 500. So it's very exciting. They've been supporting the show every episode for 55 episodes, and we appreciate them very much. Guthbrander, let's see here. We're not going to do notes necessarily. Oh, this is just about his name. Okay, yes, we got their name. All right, so let's do a knighting, Gons. Let's do it.
Katana. So sharp.
Ooh, the katana. Okay, here. Let me get what should I use today? I'm going to use the double-sided battle axe here. Look, it may sound light. But it's just because it's made of very, very, it's aircraft aluminum.
Oh, okay.
All right. So it makes it more aerodynamic. Okay, so let's do this. All right, we want to call up Christina D. and Guthbrander to the podium here because we would like to welcome you to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, where we have a seat for you. Thanks to your generous support in the amount of 555 or more, we are proud to pronounce you Dame Christina of the Top Click Bandidos, Sojourner of the Trench, and Sir Guthbrander, Viking Knight of the City on a Hill. Please join us at the Canary Cry Roundtable, where we have the belt of truthful truthiness, the breastplate of righteousness, custom fit Birkenstock to carry forth the gospel of peace, the shield of ferocious faith, the helmet of substantiating salvation, the supernatural sword of the spirit, and of course, adorable samurai babies, infinitely cute kitties for cuddling. And if you're hungry, we have fancy feast, wet food, carved Cosmo, the CRISPR cow, and fried wormicorn. Welcome to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, Dame Christina of the Top Click Bandidos, Sojourner of the Trench, and Sir Guthbrander, Viking Knight of the City on a Hill. That's right, everyone. The crowd goes wild. We are welcoming you to the roundtable and thanking you for your support of the show, especially during these crazy times. It really got us through. And make sure we have your address, because we'll be sending off that episode 500 challenge coin once they get hot off the laser engraver from the guy. We will send them to you. All right. Very exciting, Gons. 2 more seats at the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames.
Congratulations, and go to canarycrynewstalk.com/roundtable, and you'll be able to see all the noble court. And we did add those 2 there. I think we are still missing a handful between. So Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Panda, episode 523. I know we've had nights between that episode and this episode. So if you're a knight or dame out there and we did not list you here, let us know and we will do that and catch everything up, because the list grows. It's a big list.
It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And we only started it, 2 years ago, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, we should probably get on with the show here, Guns.
Yeah.
Going
to finish up this thing. COVID.
Quick question. Quick question before we move on.
Yeah.
Should we extend the episode 555 knighthood just in case? Because really, we only talked about it for one episode, and that was our bad. Yeah. Should we open it up for retroactive people?
I mean, technically, it's still episode 555 until we go live with episode 556. So maybe post.
Okay, so we'll leave it open because some people listen to the episode. Sometimes they miss an episode or they listen a day late or something like that. So we'll keep it open. If anybody comes in between now and Friday, we will honor that. The episode 555 knighthood.
Sounds good. All right. Let's wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Let's Corona.
It's Corona time. COVID-19. 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 Coronavirus. I am vaccine. Vaccine, number one way.
Vaccination.
Yes. Now, I do believe that we will keep YouTube going for this one because, this one everybody needs to hear about, and we're not going to break any rules. Susan, this was an article that came out during the show last episode, and it is really a doozy. I was kind of bummed we had to wait a couple days, but here it is. This comes from The Atlantic, an outlet that I personally love keeping track of because of their sort of almost a schizophrenic relationship with ideology here in the U.S. The headline, which has been all over the place now, is "Let's Declare a Pandemic Amnesty." In April 2020, with nothing else to do, my family took an enormous number of hikes. We all wore cloth masks that I had made myself. We had a family hand signal, which the person in the front would use if someone was approaching on the trail, and we needed to put on our masks. Once, when another child got too close to my then 4-year-old son on a bridge, he yelled at her, "Social distancing!" Cool kid you're raising there. These precautions were totally
Don't blame the kid.
These precautions were totally misguided. In April 2020, no one got the coronavirus from passing someone else hiking. Outdoor transmission was vanishingly rare. Our cloth masks made out of old bandanas wouldn't have done anything anyway. But the thing is, we didn't know.
What?
And that is what drives me nuts about this the whole time. Just keep in mind, folks, we did know.
Yeah.
We here on this show did know.
Yeah.
We did know.
Podcasters.
And
how do we know, but these people who were writing articles for The Atlantic not?
Because we read the science and they didn't. The science was there and available, and we read it, and we got banned for it. Okay, so keep that in mind as this person asks for pandemic amnesty. It goes on. I've been reflecting on this lack of knowledge since thanks to a class I'm co-teaching at Brown University on COVID. We've spent several lectures reliving the first year of the pandemic. Sounds like a nightmare class.
Who wants to take that class with this guy or gal? Is it a guy or gal wrote this?
It's a gal, I think. And you know what's horrible about it, too? They're teaching a class at Brown University about the pandemic, and they're going through the first year. What an excellent time to rewrite the history for a generation of students.
Trauma-based mind control / the rewriting of history.
Rewriting of history, exactly. We've spent several lectures reliving the first year of the pandemic, discussing the many important choices we had to make under conditions of tremendous uncertainty. They talk about these choices, Gons, and they go choice by choice, when really the real choice was read the science and believe the actual science and not the propaganda, or get your, self-righteous, wiggles out by just parroting the moral certainty of your government. Those were the two choices, but let's keep going. Some of these choices turned out better than others. To take an example close to my own work, there is an emerging, if not universal, consensus that schools in the U.S. were closed for too long. The health risks of in-school spread were relatively low, whereas the costs to students' well-being and educational progress were high. The latest figures on learning loss are alarming, but in spring and summer of 2020, we had only glimmers of that information. Notice, you did have some information. You had glimmers of information.
And still, glimmers is not nothing.
It's not nothing. People get glimmers. Glimmers are good. You can make decisions on glimmers. Reasonable people who cared about children and teachers, advocated on both sides of the reopening debate. That is certainly not how somebody would have described it at the time, but okay. Another example, when the vaccines came out, we lacked definitive data on the relative efficacies of Johnson & Johnson shot versus the mRNA options from Pfizer and Moderna. The mRNA vaccines have won out, but at the time, many people in public health were either neutral or expressed a J&J preference. This misstep wasn't nefarious. It was the result of uncertainty. Don't worry, that's as much as they even touch the vaccine debate, but you can extrapolate from there. But I think it's notable that she doesn't extrapolate from there. She doesn't talk about vaccines much. She just talks about amnesty for the Johnson & Johnson versus mRNA options. Obviously, some people intended to mislead and made wildly irresponsible claims. That's an interesting way to do it, get into the mind, intending to mislead, actually have an evildoer sort of in the ranks.
Well, and also
to assume intentions is what it is.
Right. And then irresponsible claims suggests that perhaps the claims themselves aren't necessarily wrong, but to say it in a way, right?
Malinformation. It's bad because it's true. Remember when the public health community had to spend a lot of time and resources urging Americans not to inject themselves with bleach? Oh, you mean the entirely media created propaganda that somebody said inject bleach, which nobody said, but was entirely created by the media and used to separate ideological lines in public? Yeah, okay, I do remember that, but I don't remember it the way you're describing it. She goes on, that was bad. Misinformation was and remains a huge problem, but most errors were made by people who were working in earnest for the good of society. Given the amount of uncertainty, no matter who you are, that statement can be
I was going to say, this article itself is sort of and I guess an indictment in the very thing that they are, misinformation is bad. It's a problem, but most people were just trying to do good. And that's, I mean, this article itself is sort of peddling misinfo claiming it to be sort of I'm doing it for the good of society.
Yeah, and trying to create, they kind of walk the line from both sides of each argument, but, not really. They obviously hint and lean, trying to get people to forgive each other. But this was obviously someone who didn't have to suffer for their opinions very much. Although they will make a point later on. Given the amount of uncertainty, almost every position was taken on every topic. And on every topic, someone was eventually proved right, and someone else was proved wrong. In some instances, the right people were right for the wrong reasons.
Does it matter? Who cares if it's the... Well, explain.
This was actually a big conversation in the news for a while. When it came out that Fauci had lied about masks early on, they were talking about this, the conspiracy theorists were right, but for the wrong reason. So they're still bad demonic people. In other instances, they had a prescient understanding of the available information. Yeah, that sounds familiar, Gons.
That's a good word, prescient.
The people who got it right, for whatever reason, may want to gloat. Yeah, got that right. Those who got it wrong, for whatever reason, may feel defensive and retrench into a position that doesn't accord with the facts. We certainly are seeing that. All of this gloating and defensiveness continues to gobble up a lot of social energy and drive the culture wars, especially on the internet. These discussions are heated, unpleasant, and untimely, unproductive. Yeah. Spoken like someone who truly did not pay a price for having an unpopular opinion. In the face of so much uncertainty, getting something right had a hefty element of luck. No, it didn't. And similarly, getting something wrong wasn't a moral failing. Treating pandemic choices as a scorecard on which some people racked up more points than others is preventing us from moving forward. And that's really the sticking point for me. Talking about this as if it's a scorecard, people lost everything. Everything for being right about something. Look, we lost a lot, but considering our livelihood was connected to it, we could make a case for that. But other people lost jobs, lost family members, lost access to critical services, to their spiritual families.
Too. It's
on
the people
both
that,
sides.
The people that pushed back, but also the people that were compliant were also losing all their privileges and positions and everything else.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes, you're right. That's not even an ideological divide.
No.
Everybody lost privileges unless they complied, both in action and in thought or thought crime. So this idea that everybody is gloating or being defensive because it's points on a scorecard is ludicrously misguided. Obviously spoken by somebody who did not lose much for having an unpopular opinion.
But also a good idea for the next pandemic. Exactly. High or low, 1,000 deaths today.
Yep. We have to put these fights aside and declare a pandemic amnesty. Isn't it interesting how just now, when people like Fauci and Psaki are being called to account to answer under oath in courtrooms, and things are starting to come out, the Wuhan lab debacle, everything is starting to sort of, the truth is being revealed.
The facade is unwinding. They need they need their rapture.
Now, exactly. They're waiting. They've been waiting for their rapture, and they want amnesty. Now they want amnesty. Mm-hmm. We can leave out the willful purveyors of actual misinformation while forgiving the hard calls that people had no choice but to make with imperfect knowledge.
Everybody
leave out.
So
Notice,
general.
Leave out. Yeah. Leave out the willful purveyors of actual misinformation. And we've already seen that this person is willing to assume intent. She's already made a practice of saying that some people lied on purpose, not because they thought it was right, but because they could. Well, she doesn't give a reason, but she just points out actual demons and says, okay, leave out, or what she would categorize as actual demons. Yeah. Let's leave them out. So she's still not talking about an amnesty. She's talking about amnesty for people she thinks should have it, but also not for those who she doesn't think should have it. We can leave out willful purveyors of actual information and while forgiving the hard calls that people had no choice but to make with imperfect knowledge.
Well, see, that's sorry to just harp on your point is that she's trying to split hairs between purveyors of misinformation and also purveyors of misinformation who had no choice because they had to do it with imperfect knowledge. Well, what about the people? I mean, how do you determine that ever? If somebody who is peddling misinformation, aren't they also coming from a place of imperfect knowledge, according to you? Like, it doesn't make any sense to split those hairs, but continue.
And keep in mind, just to make the point, this is someone who realizes, and I think it's indicative of a moving trend. We've tracked the trend of even the most hardcore people realizing that, compliance and having the government decide your morals and ethics and demonizing the right people at the right time wasn't a very good idea. A lot of people are coming to this conclusion, and this is just a signal that people are feeling that way. And at the highest echelons of media, this is her giving permission to people to talk about it. So, look, I do give her credit for writing this, but it does show a lack of awareness of the actual situation and the lack of awareness of the price a lot of people paid that she did not pay. Yeah. Now, she will make a point. This is the price she paid, she says. We need to forgive the attacks, too. Okay. So the attacks, Gons, all the people attacking us, people like us, our listeners.
We forgive you, Susan.
Yes, we need to forgive Susan. We need to forgive everybody that literally called for us to be put in camps. We need to forgive everybody who said that we were whatever. Okay, we need to forgive the attacks too. Mm-hmm. And this is her situation, because I thought schools should reopen and argued that kids as a group were not at high risk. I was called a teacher killer and a genocidaire. It wasn't pleasant, but feelings were high, and I certainly don't need to dissect and rehash that time for the rest of my days. Okay, so she gives one example. She thought schools should reopen. Sure.
She dipped her toe in social media, it seems.
Yeah, so that one time you got called a teacher killer, that was people's entire lives for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Moving on is crucial now. Move on, Gons, because the pandemic created many problems that we still need to solve. Student test scores have shown historic declines, and more in math than reading, and more so for students who are disadvantaged at the start. We need to collect data, experiment, and invest. Is high dosage tutoring more or less cost effective than extending school years? Why have some states recovered faster than others? We need to focus on questions like these, because answering them is how we will help our children recover. So remember, this is just about the one time she got called a teacher killer she's focusing on. Many people have neglected their health care over the past several years. Notably, routine vaccination rates for children for measles, pertussis, etc. are way down. Rather than debating the role that messaging about COVID vaccines had in this decline, we need to put all our energy into bringing these rates back up.
Yeah.
Pediatricians and public health officials will need to work together on community outreach, and politicians will need to consider school mandates.
Yeah, bring that dragon energy, baby.
Look at that. We need to forgive everybody, but we do need to consider school mandates. So back to the mandate discussion here. She just brings it right back. It's really impressive. Yeah. The standard saying is that those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Why not, quote, try to find a source for that instead of just saying a standard saying? But go ahead.
Good point. But dwelling on the mistakes of history can lead to a repetitive doom loop as well. You know what came to my mind with this? The dwelling on the mistakes of history can lead to a repetitive doom loop as well. Lots of things, like during the pandemic, the talk about the 1918 flu. This is what happened in the 1918 flu. Let's dwell on that, blah, 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 blah. Also, all the Hitler talk about people who don't agree with you politically, and that could be put on both sides. Find people on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. Anyways, let's acknowledge that we made complicated choices in the face of deep uncertainty. Again, ignoring that these complicated choices that people had to make cost them everything. And the people who complied with the punishment of people who made the quote unquote wrong choice should not just be forgotten and forgiven. There needs to be, talk about social justice. Why is she not talking about what's the word? Not penitence, not recompense. I don't know. Something needs to be done. But anyways, let's acknowledge that we made complicated choices. She's talking about the people who made complicated choices to like demonize and exile their family members for having different opinions about medical treatments and things like that. And then try to work together to build back and move forward. Build back. Love it. Got to throw in the build back there and move forward.
Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time, a new world order.
Yeah. So, you know, I have yet to have any apologies. I have yet to hear even a public apology from somebody who called for, you know, narrative skeptics to be put in camps or told that they should die. Who was I don't want to put this in somebody's put words in somebody's mouth who it wasn't. It was either Noam Chomsky. I think it was Noam Chomsky.
Yeah, I did say something.
Who said that, you know, vaccine skeptics should just die or something. Yeah. Lots of people said that lots of people should just go die, get what they deserve, get put in camps, etc., etc. And now look at them asking for amnesty. This is really cool. So there's been, of course, notable and I think deserved backlash against this. People are putting this headline over videos of the dancing nurses and the Fauci lies and the this and the that. It's really entertaining. But yeah, there you go. Another data point in the shift. People realizing that they were, you know, controlled by the idea of doing the right thing enforced on them by, honestly, I mean, Biden from the podium, from the presidential podium, calling, you know, anti-vaxxers, whatever, stupid or monsters or degenerates or whatever he did. I have yet to hear any actual apologies, and I am awaiting mine. And I'm awaiting the check in the mail for, you know, our 250,000 subscribers that we lost for saying the truth about things.
You know, in this episode, we've already had the sort of looking for the amnesty. Well, it's not exactly amnesty, but just the protection of the earlier on. I think it was with the deep state disinformation governance board. And then we have now the, you know, asking for amnesty for these people that said certain things during the pandemic and, you know,
who became literal monsters.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does seem like part of the, you have some lighting issues over there, but part of the,
oh, do I?
The shift here is also the Democrats maybe trying to do some things last minute before they lose power in certain parts of government.
Yeah.
And that could be it too. They're just sort of showing their hand of like, oh yeah, okay, the disinformation thing, we got to roll it back out because, you know, that might go down. And then also, you know, we got to make sure we can install some amnesty. I know it's not a presidential shift, but still, pre-election, it does seem a little bit, you know, a little overboard for even yeah, because it is really dividing. Well, it's been dividing the country for a long time, but I'm just saying in terms of the narrative, more and more people realizing all the lies and everything else. It is interesting to watch, especially in the context of politics, because, you know, on the surface level, it does affect how people vote, you know, at a very practical, you know, in-house United States kind of way.
Yeah.
So, but
no, I think it's interesting. I mean, it almost literally could be read as Democrats asking for forgiveness before the election, before
the Republicans come in and share facts about the thing, and it's not going to make us look good. So, give us a little rapture option. But also, you know, there are things that are continuing on. This is from DailyMail.co.uk. And the headline here is UK scientists created mutant COVID strains in high-risk, low-benefit lab experiments. Sage-linked team comes under fire amid calls for more regulation over controversial gain-of-function research.
So, yeah, isn't that funny? Asking for amnesty at the same time that they're continuing the exact behavior.
Well, and asking for more regulation. That part of it too. It's sort of a bait and switch, you know. It's like, oh, they're still. We need more regulation. We can't let this go on. Kind of interesting. Yeah. British scientists intentionally created hybrid COVID strains in risky experiments judged to be like, quote, playing with fire, Mail Online has revealed. Hamsters were infected with mutant viruses, blends of the original Wuhan strain and parts of either Omicron or Delta. Critics of the research carried out by Imperial College London called it insanity and warned the lab trials could, in theory, unleash a new viral threat. 20 scientists were involved in the project, including one who sits on the government's advisory panel, SAGE. But the university insists the study, part funded by the taxpayer, oh good, thanks taxpayers, followed British regulations and was entirely safe. Our revelation comes amid ongoing furor over similar experiments in the U.S., where authorities have proposed a crackdown on virus manipulation research. So, again, it's just so interesting how the part of the sort of ripple effects of the pandemic was an acceleration in public education on what scientific governance looks like, or scientific bureaucracy and all that kind of looks like, and bringing the ethical questions about what science is able to do to more or less the mainstream public vision.
Right.
And that is starting to shake out and create new political sides and new the new topics of politics, I guess. The new, the things that we're going to be debating the next few years as we elect officials who are for this or against that or whatever. It's all going to be in the context of what started in earnest with COVID in terms of the scientific ability. And also, we've said this for many years, is that by the time they start to publicly not disclose, but just talk about or show capabilities of scientific, research and just experiments in general, there's probably an ample amount of whatever that thing is that's illegal or shouldn't be done or unethical. It's already happening.
It's exactly what we've learned. And it's exactly, again, I hate to keep a scorecard and talk about how we're right about everything, but, that's always been sort of a refrain when we report on technology or science or something like that, is if they're telling us about it now, that somebody is light years ahead and they're just not telling us, right? To tell you. It's a classic sort of conspiracy theorist thing to say. And what we're finding is that it's absolutely true, because one thing you can say about the pandemic is nobody knew for sure what the scientific community was up to or how, stringently they were being regulated and watched. And what we're learning now is very public, is that it wasn't very stringently regulated at all. Even when things were illegal, they were still happening and just not being reported. And, we just had a few of these cases where on U.S. soil, there are still people making COVID, mutant chimeric strains, which is illegal, but they're just not reporting it. So in reality, it's happening. It's just not sort of happening bureaucratically. And what everybody in the country and the world is learning is what we've been saying all along, which is they're doing the craziest, most dangerous things. And just because they're not telling us about it doesn't mean it's not happening. And that, again, kind of like the pandemic amnesty, now that everybody knows about it, let's now let's regulate it. Now let's figure it out. Let's go ahead and take care of this because the election is coming up soon, and we just need you to know that that's what we're super excited about, is regulating the scientific industry now.
Yeah, and of course we have to all move on. Just suck it up, move on. Also, Forbes.com, Supreme Court allows TSA to issue mask mandates.
Yeah.
Published November. I had to check the date. November 1st, 2022. Are you sure this is? Yes, November 1st. On Monday, the Supreme Court left in place a ruling that allows the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, to issue mask mandates on planes, trains, and other forms of transport, as it had for more than a year during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Supreme Court denied a California attorney's request to overturn a U.S. Court of Appeals ruling in the D.C. Circuit for December, which found no merit in his claim and affirmed that the TSA does not have the authority to maintain security and safety within the transportation system, including imposing the masking requirement. California Attorney Jonathan Corbett.
By the way, real quick, another example of a post 9/11 bureaucracy and the mission creep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like compounding the whole what we had at post 9/11 and sort of it's gaining momentum again through the COVID situation. California Attorney Jonathan Corbett had claimed that the TSA did not have the authority to mandate masks on airlines and other types of transportation during the COVID-19 pandemic. You hear that, folks? This is a California attorney. We still have hope here in California, folks. The Court of Appeals has disagreed. Oh, okay. maybe it's because he's from California. They're like, quiet, you commie. The Court of Appeals has disagreed, ruling that the agency, quote, plainly has the authority to address transportation safety and security. Quote, because we found no merit in Corbett's claim, we deny the petition for review, the court wrote. Quote, the COVID-19 global pandemic poses one of the greatest threats to the operational viability of the transportation system and the lives of those on it seen in decades. So mask up, people, because it's back. The TSA has all the authority to just tell you to cover your face.
Yeah, the people who can, touch you in ways that are illegal for anyone else to touch you without your permission. Now, of course, they're the ones who are allowed to, force you to put a mask on for.
Step into this tube, make the Illuminati triangle a symbol over your head.
Get a little blast of cancer.
Yeah, blast of cancer. Show us everything. And but also put on a mask. But cover yourself, citizen.
Cover yourself. Come on.
All right.
Yep.
We're going to continue on here.
Yeah. What else do we got here? I think it's time to thank some more producers.
Break.
This is a break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, thanking our producers who come in with their talent. If you have a God-given talent, and everybody does, don't just consume the content. Provide value back by building the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that you make whatever you make about the show. And we're going to start off with some audio production.
Audio production.
All right, and we have some more from the 54 files that were sent to me by Brother G, and we got a couple ISOs here. Warning, Red China. Play. Man, sometimes, there's maybe too many files here or something. It doesn't work right away. Come on, why isn't it working?
Are you playing it off of the cloud or?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
You're working with some cloud infrastructure there, baby.
Yeah, give me
Warning. Subterranean red Chinese compound detected.
Subterranean red Chinese compound. Yeah.
I wonder what that's from. That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. And also this one, welcome to my party.
Welcome to my party. Vote for me if you want to live.
That's pretty funny.
I forget what that's from. That sounds really familiar.
This could be a fun, jingle of for Canary Cry Party.
That's true.
Welcome to my party. Yeah. Follow me if you want to live.
That's a good one. All right, thank you, Brother G. We will slowly apply these as we recall.
That's what I forgot to do. You know what? By the way, thank you to. I got to thank the person directly because my, using the audience as a personal assistant reminder thing, not as many people helping me out as I thought, but I do want to thank producer Willem, for sending me the emails that I asked for. I think we did miss the one about providing this Dropbox to the Jingle Boys, though, so I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Personal assistant to Basil, producer Willem.
Thank you, producer Willem, for sacrificing.
And I invite everybody else to do that as well.
Yes, a collective sacrifice to be Basil's bot. All right. We also have something from Lloyd V. Is a note, hey dudes, I've made a Bong Thoughts with Chris Shilzilla jingle. And here's the full version of it.
Welcome to Bong Thoughts with Chris Shilzilla.
Mr. Lova. Girl.
Chris Shilzilla.
My children are obsessed with Crocs.
Chris Shilzilla.
The butt of every joke.
That's pretty funny. I'm going to send that to Chris. Maybe he'll put it on his new podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Bong Thoughts with Chris Shilzilla.
Yeah, fantastic. Great job. Thank you,
What
Lloyd
if
V.
we didn't have taste, man?
Have you kept up with? He's got a couple newer episodes up.
I haven't listened to it. I do need to do that.
We need a report next week.
Yes.
I am your assistant. I'm reminding you now.
Yes, somebody remind me. Send an email to remind me to listen to Bong Thoughts.
Bong Thoughts. All right. Thank you very much to Lloyd V and also Brother G for the audio production. Let's get to some art.
One art, please.
And we're going to start it off with Dame Alley of the Skillet Nation. Here we go.
One art please, another one from Alley now, here it is.
And it is, hold on, I gotta get it up on the screen here. I thought I had it ready to go, but apparently I did not.
Uh-oh.
Where is it? Here it is. There we go. Volodymyr Zelensky. Yes. And it is accompanied by an Ebony Blaze haiku. Where's my water? There's my water. Where's this type? There we go. Raisin money. Like raisins. Zelensky selects 16 wartime speeches. A message from Ukraine. Book proceeds go to United 24 to raise funds for Ukraine. Wartime is good time for speeches and books. Putin, play on words with Putin. Fun in fundraising.
That is very funny. Thank you very much, Dame Ebony Blaze. And of course, Dame Alley, thank you for this beautiful pencil portraiture of Zelensky, looking very determined and Zelensky determined, but, amused. He's got sort of a bemused, scraunchy smile on his face because he knows just how much money he's wriggling out of the hands of the taxpayers.
I wonder how that makes him feel, It's like, oh no,
Probably
my country's
really
in
awesome.
war. And then he sees the paychecks and he's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's probably a really good deal. I mean, considering that, he was put there by the United States government. A lot of people haven't been talking about that lately, but he is the result of a coup by us.
Yeah.
He was probably promised a lot of wonderful things, and it's nice when those things pay off.
Well, old Grandpa Joe was pretty harsh on him back in June. Apparently, came out.
He lost his temper,
temper. Hey,
you never had your grandma or grandpa lose their temper with you because you kind of forgot your place. You kind of got used to grandma and grandpa doing whatever you want, and you kind of had a spoiled kid moment. Do you ever have a little spoiled kid moment with your grandma and grandpa? That first time that your grandma or grandpa slaps you down for having a spoiled kid moment, that is a learning moment. I'll tell you what.
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Apparently a direct line from Joe to Vlad. There you go. Thank you very much to Dame Ebony Blaze and Dame Alley for this fantastic drawing of Vladimir. And, the lizard eyes are present, and it's his right eye. There seems to be more lighting coming from his right side, really making clear the intentions of his soul.
Indubitably. Thank you very much.
Very much. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Raspeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
So dramatic. And we have a note. that accompanies this piece, and it goes like this. If I can get back to it. Where's my note? Here it is. Piece. For today's artwork, I made an illustration from Runk Smash's microfiction last Friday. Basil said he could see it in my style, so I thought I'd bring it to life as a sticker design.
Attaboy.
Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for Ian's Dove.
Yes, sorry. And here we have a beautiful... the Boston Dynamics robot Spot Dog with the sort of tentacled claws coming out of the head. The most terrifying form accessory option for this platform of Spot the Robot Dog. You'll notice a little Easter egg here. It's not from Boston Dynamics. It's Runkston Dynamics. And up above it says man's best friend. And there is a Spot the Robot Dog's bowl, like a feeding bowl right in front of it.
Yes.
And you can see there's some sort of mushed up mystery meat, but there is a human finger and a bone sticking out of the bowl.
I wonder which finger that
is. Good question. Then, of course, at the bottom, canarycry.party there for anybody who's interested in learning more. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Excellently done, and it brings light to my heart when my desires to see something specific come to life. It really makes it all worth it.
The robot vision becomes a reality through Sir Dove.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Do we have any other visual art?
I don't think so. Wait, hold on. Do we? No, I don't think we do.
Okay. So I think this would be a good time for me to reveal what the AI has given me for today's episode.
Sure.
What do you think?
Let's do it.
I mean, it's either we do it now or we can do it like later on, but
we're already behind a lot, so let's do it right now to be more behind.
That's what that's what I was thinking. Okay. Now, of course, like I said, this is incredibly sort of addicting, and I kind of wanted to continue to mess with it to see what else
refine the piece,
refine or get to happen or something like that. But like all art, you have to decide when to quit it. So I think the way that I'm going to do this, Gons, is what? Should I just stick it into?
Yeah, stick it into the doc.
Stick it in the document?
Yeah, here.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm going to write here. Here is where
he's going to write here. I don't know exactly where his...
Under the Sir Dove.
Under the Sir Dove.
Yes.
Okay. So I couldn't decide between two of them, so I'm going to show you two. I know it's the first time though, and you'll see why it becomes very difficult to pick. But remember, folks, I'm on Midjourney. I put in just the simple keyword description for this episode. We're seeing if there's any potential for Midjourney to have AI to have a place in developing art.
Bring it on, AI. Let's see it. Let's see what you're made of.
There it is. Here's one of them. So just to remind everybody, did that go in there?
Yes, it's just giving a second to load. Here we go.
Okay. The prompts were Troll World Order, Elon Beast, Nephilim Blackbirds, Pelosi Distraction, Mutant Strain, a podcast, Deconstructs Mainstream Media, news from a biblical perspective. And then I had some descriptors in there that I was kind of trying to go for. And here's one of them. And it was really interesting to see all the options that became available that the AI followed down. But this was one of them. And it looks like... Well, can you describe it, Gonzo?
It's it's got the color scheme correct. A lot of the
so I
pink
made sure to do it
purple-ish.
sort of in the vaporwave kind of style that we kind of stick with.
And looks like there's a building, maybe no, it's not the White House, but something like the remnants of a destroyed
an AI
White House
version of the White House. Yeah,
like a post-apocalyptic after a nuke strike White House, and it's sort of it looks like it's either creating a plume of Earth clouds,
like it's either burning, like the building is burning or exploding, or there's some sort of I don't know,
its
destruction
own nuke or
happening.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's or dissolving into, and above that is sort of this very apocalyptic looking planet type thing,
like a spherical cloud of sorts.
Yes, it is both sort of planet and eclipse at the same time in a way.
Black goo ball.
It's got a lot going on. It's interesting, the AI trying to communicate something with us there. Okay, so that was one of them.
Sure.
Man, there were some good options, but I'm going to
give me one more.
Drop the one more in there, and maybe we can decide. See, this is the hardest part about it, is like so many good options come out of it that it's hard to choose. So here's the next one.
What a good problem to have. It's too hard to choose the AI art that's replacing me.
It honestly is a difficult decision. So here's another one.
Okay.
So I can't say that it really stuck to any of the individual themes. And that's what you got to remember, It's not doing an individual theme. It's sort of an AI conglomeration of the entire I don't know, maybe spirit of the description of this episode. And this one, let me know when you got it up.
Got it up.
Okay, this one in the foreground is sort of the back of a man's head. Perhaps it's the back of Gonza's head, or maybe Gonza's grumpy uncle.
I think it's
staring off over an expansive sort of vaporwave wasteland, while floating above that wasteland is a gigantic reptilian sort of dragon figure.
Dragon bird. Yeah, like a dragon bird.
Dragon bird with a gigantic eyeball right in the center of it. There's even kind of a pyramid shape to the dragon bird thing. I thought that one was pretty interesting.
Kind of scaly skin.
Kind of scaly, yeah. It's just, you can see it's doing sort of a conglomeration of a lot of the things that we talk about on this show. I do have one more. I'm going to throw one more in there. I know. And then just because these were the choices that I had to choose between.
Oh my gosh,
yes,
it's such a difficult job, yes.
Okay, here's this one. And let me know when you got that one up.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Oh, this one's fun. Is that Trump? I think there's a cyborg Trump or something in here.
Kind of got like a cyborg Trump vibe to it, doesn't it? You're looking, there's sort of a man with kind of the shape and color of Trump standing with his
wide
back
shoulder,
to us. Yeah, he's got the big, broad Trump shoulders. And off in the distance is kind of a city skyscape, a little bit of a hint of like the White House structure, the Capitol building, themes to one of the buildings. And in the sky is sort of this bizarre sort of spiritual cloud, orange and red and kind of spooky, hovering over the city. And the top part of the cloud kind of starts forming what you might think of as like, I don't know, I see it as sort of a pantheon of spiritual baddies, spiritual entities or principalities or something, sort of riding on this big scary,
cut out for a second,
planet thing behind them.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Second Kings chariots of fire. Elijah seeing the chariots of fire. It sort of has that vibe.
Yes. It's got the very spiritual spirit realm sort of vibe that Cyber Trump is sort of presiding over. I do like this one.
Maybe it's
pretty interesting, huh? I'm not going to say it's better than the art. I don't even know if it's as good as the art that you do, but it is an interesting AI sort of abstraction of some of the concepts that we might be communicating
I will say,
beneath the surface here.
I will say this. As we begin to directly compete with AI, I think self-esteem is going to be a very important factor. Because there's a part of me that thinks, oh my gosh, I couldn't have come up with this in the time that I would normally come up with in creating art. I couldn't create this intricate design and the concept and everything.
Certainly technically, the technical skill is very high. You would have to illustrate this by hand, basically.
This would be tough to create by hand, so to speak. Or, independently. So I'll just keep telling myself I still have worth. I'm still an artist.
You have worth. No, see, Gons, don't worry. This is the robots taking some stuff off of our plate so you can focus on doing what you do best, Gons. And that is, well, I don't know. You get to decide what that is.
Changing diapers.
My friend. And being a parent, yeah. So there you go. I don't know if we can use any of these, but, slap a Canary Cry logo on this sucker. One of these might work as a thumbnail for the episode.
I think it might. It might be great background for microfictions.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
We got one from Wrong Smash.
Yeah. Chris awakens in a shabby apartment laying on a patched futon. He gets up and finds the kitchen. He aches and is thirsty. He grabs a jar from the drying rack and goes to fill it, but drops it in fear when he sees the scorpion that calls the sink home. Sink Scorpion!
Yeah, this is
love it. Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Sink Scorpion AI. That might be interesting.
I was just gonna plug this in real quick to see.
Add it to the mix. See what it
what
does.
Midjourney has to say about this.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Continuing on here, we have Anon also coming in with this is the continuation of her microfiction.
Indeed.
Here we go.
They are close, and there's no time to escape. Dang ticks. Basil mutters under his breath, "Is this how it ends?" Just then, the Kevins break through their enclosure. They swarm around Bill and Tony, kicking up dirt into the air until everything is surrounded by a thick cloud of dust.
That cloud of dust kind of looks like that AI, right there.
It's all coming together.
Cloud of dust.
Thanks, Kevins.
Yay, Kevins, and thank you, Anon. I think there's one more to that Anon microfiction.
Yes, the saga is almost complete.
Yes, and then we also have one from the Sentinel. The Sentinel comes in. Oops. You. There you go.
Surrounded by the unholy gathering, the three warriors' blades cross with Talrus' flaming sword. Meanwhile, in a distant land, another gathering is taking place. Knights and dames ceremoniously take their place at the round table.
Very apropos. This is specific to the 555 episode. Very well done.
Indubitably.
Thank you, the Sentinel.
Thank you very much to all of our artists who bring life to the lore and the stories that surround the Canarium. We couldn't do without you. And if you are a creative person, whether it's visual art or music or literature, whatever you do, create something for the show. Send it into the show, and we'd love to feature it on the show. Right now, you can go ahead and email all your art to canarycryradio@gmail.com. However, in beta test right now, the artists are testing out our brand new Canary Cry art submission portal. So soon, hopefully soon, we will have a more official way to get that to us. But for now, you can just email it to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let us move on.
Nephilim update.
It's been a while since our last Nephilim update, where we talked about the Nephilim being sort of mainstreamed. But here's some more mythology and some lure. Forbes.com. Forbes, Basil. Not Gamer Rag or some Some trashy gaming site. No, this is Forbes. This is official.
Okay, all right.
A look inside the servant of the gods edition of Blackbirds. You know about Blackbirds?
I don't know what Blackbirds is. No.
Okay. Well, I'm here to tell you. What is Blackbirds? It's a dark fantasy RPG which puts players in the role of blackbirds, mortals chosen by the dead gods of fate to fight against the oligarchs. They're fighting the oligarchs. They've been given special abilities to take the fight to the mortal followers and strange beasts that the oligarchs command. Even though their world is consumed in darkness, the Blackbirds have a chance to save Erebos, even if it means killing it.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun. How is Blackbird different from Dungeons and Dragons? The game includes non-human character options that offer unique spins on classic fantasy archetypes. AES. AES. How do you pronounce that in your?
I don't know.
AES, for example, are immortal elf-like heroes bound to phases of the moon, while Daim are dwarf-like characters bound to different elements. These ancestries also include Nephilim, half-demon character created through merging humans, and the strange outsiders looking to make their own play on Erebos.
Oh my gosh.
Really using the story of the Watchers, sort of the Genesis 6 Enochian account of what took place with the Watchers and human women, and just retelling it in the form of an RPG, which is not unfamiliar. But here it is. The Outsiders.
To play as a Nephilim. That's what every Christian kid has wanted to do.
The Outsiders are the main source of magic for the Blackbirds. Rather than spell level and memorization, magic users establish relationships with these outsiders for their spells.
Relationships.
They're trying to invoke and have relationship with the outsiders, much like the Watchers of the Bible. Interesting. The rebellious sons of God. In exchange, they must do favors for the creatures spawned by unknowable intrigues that can range from the innocuous to the downright bloody.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, the Nephilim making their way, not just into another video game, but into Forbes.
Into Forbes through Blackbirds.
And very interesting.
It wasn't the only mythology that mentioned Nephilim recently. This is The Gamer. This is a little bit more of a raggy thing. Although the MSN is mirroring The Gamer here. And the headline here, the scariest moments in the Tomb Raider series. Good old Tomb Raider. You know Tomb Raider.
Indeed.
The show. Lara Croft.
It's a classic.
Lara Croft and the Atlantean Experiment. There's a part here. The transformation of Boaz. Angel of Darkness is certainly one of the darkest games in the series, just by tone alone. Instead of Lara going on a grand adventure in some faraway tomb, she's in Paris, where she is being framed for the murder of her mentor, Werner von Croy, who died at the hands of a serial killer still skulking around the streets of the city. In time, Lara comes face to face with the true force behind the murders. Eckhart, an alchemist who plans to use artifacts to revive an extinct race known as the Nephilim.
Oh, good.
So,
We've got to revive the Nephilim.
Yeah, Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider, is fighting the bad guy who's an alchemist who wants to revive the Nephilim. So,
makes total sense.
Creating all the different sides of the mythology, and really that's what it is. This is the retelling of the Nephilim Genesis 6 mythology in video games, and it's everywhere. I am still surprised at how little the church actually talks about this issue. In the context of all these games and the lore. This is what kids are exposed to, and I would guess, this is just a guess, that a majority of the people playing these games who may be in Christian homes have no idea that there is a biblical precedence to these topics.
Right. Well, and it's very interesting. I forget who it was, but this was back in the early Canary Cry radio days. There was some pretty impressive academic sort of scholarship and I would say predictions about these topics, specifically things like the Nephilim, becoming mainstays or staples in pop culture. You know, do you remember who it was that was kind of their message that they brought to the show? And this was maybe, I mean, this could have been up to 10 years ago. Maybe, you know, it's probably 7-8 years ago. Yeah. The big takeaway from our conversation was keep an eye out because, you know, starting at basically at the point of that conversation, you know, some obscure sort of supernatural worldview pieces of the Bible are going to be more represented in pop culture than they are in the church. Right. And, you know, what does that mean? How do we respond to that? And, you know, go from there.
It sounds Marzullian. L.A. Marzulli-esque, but he was one of many who has been researching the Nephilim who we interviewed. So there's a few, you know, there's another thing that I should have linked it in the description of the show notes here, but the Logos Bible software or Bible app channel on YouTube published the Unseen Realm documentary with Dr. Michael Heiser, and also and the series on angels and demons, and that's the scholarly foundation of a lot of the stuff we talk about from the Bible, and you know, sort of recontextualizing what was going on in the ancient Near East and what the belief systems were, and they pertain to this sub-narrative about the corruption of humanity through one of the rebellions, but of the Watchers, and you know, the intervention, marrying human women and creating this race of Nephilim, and that being part of the conquest of Israel in the Old Testament, leading up to the birth of Christ and everything. You know, sort of the bedrock of everything that doesn't get discussed enough. The documentaries are great because they are ultra mainstream. It's very mainstream friendly. It's not scary. They don't do scary music with you know, scenes from a dark occult ritual that was captured on camera at Yale University or something. You know, it's more you know, straight from the Bible, scholarly people that are actual academics talking about these issues and referencing the scripture that it comes from. And so share it with your pastors. Just, you know, fair warning, you might be shunned or dismissed, or, you know, that kind of stuff might happen, but it's more accessible.
It's part of the rite of passage.
Yes. But it is
weird
becoming
looks from your church leadership.
It is becoming way more accessible to understand these things because of the work of, for example, Logos and Dr. Michael Heiser making a documentary about his research, at the very least, in creating these conversations. Because before, 10 years ago, when you and I were starting the podcast, I mean, it was like a sit-down meeting. Like, no, we need to sit down, you know, with the pastors. I mean, you know, they would be like, okay, we need to have a separate conference. What's going on? What's really going on in your life that you have to talk about all this crazy? This is not focused. And it's like, wait a minute, but I thought we're a church here. We're talking about the Bible.
It's not kingdom work.
Not kingdom work.
The Nephilim and stuff.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, a couple interesting things to keep an eye on: the Blackbirds, and also Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. More references to and not even like an obscure reference, like a direct, literally a lifting of the straight lifting of the narrative.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, when pop culture, video games and movies and animes and things like that are more familiar with, you know, the Bible than your average person, that's we live in interesting times.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it. We are a little bit past your deadline, Gone, so we're going to get out quick. I'm going to skip some of the plugs, but I'm not going to skip thanking our producers. I want to thank our executive producers, of course, because you know this. We couldn't do it without all of our producers coming in with their time, their talent, and or their treasure, and our executive producers coming in, really carrying the show today. Thank you very much. To executive producer Rebecca B, executive producer Caleb, and executive producer Jules for making episode 555 happen. Remember, we'll keep that 555 knighthood open until next episode, just in case somebody was waiting for this moment to strike and find their seat at the table. But I do want to thank our other producers, starting with our Clippies. Clipping all those videos. Thanks. Thanks, Clippies. Emsworth and Faye Liverin managing, clipping, doing the work, putting in the time over there at the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. And Faye Liverin really being a true treasure to the whole Canarium here. Yes. And Emsworth would agree with me. So a very special thank you to producer Faye Liverin.
Yes, absolutely.
For so much.
Yep.
Thanks to our timestampers.
Timestampers.
It's hard work.
That's right. It is hard work. The timestamps go into so much of our back end. We couldn't do so much stuff without them. And that's why I want to thank Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps for episode 554. Thank you, timestampers. Of course, our social media gal.
Social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
Dame Miss G of the OV and the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up on the social media so it's available for anyone to go find it on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's a wonderful thing you do. Dame Miss G, thank you very much.
We're going to need a Vine guy or Vine gal once Elon relaunches.
Yeah,
Vine.
I love Vine so much. I might actually do Vine myself. We'll see. I just want a reason to get back on there. Meetups, canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetups.
Go check out the meetups, folks. It's very important that you meet with actual, real human beings who are on the level. You have a lot in common with, but not too much in common. There's meetups going on all over the place, and if there's not one near you, put one on yourself. Just send us a message. Just say, I'll be at this coffee shop at this time on this day, and I can't wait to meet more Canarians. I can almost guarantee that there are Canarians in your city. If you're in or around a sort of mid-sized American metropolitan area. But Phoenix, Arizona in 2 days, November 4th and 5th. In Phoenix, Arizona, get in contact with Stephen Grenade at gmail.com. Going to be a fun time down there in Phoenix. Of course, Merrillville, Indiana, November 5th. That's Indiana, folks. You should definitely head on out to this. Get in contact with Sassy Frass Bees, Bees, Sassy Frass Bees at gmail.com. Or just head on over to canarycrymeetups.com. We'll see you at the meetup.
This is
Meow. That's right. Make sure to go to Apple Podcasts and leave us ratings and reviews. This is super important. This is not a casual ask from me. This is an earnest, very important ask. I'm not going to belabor it today because we're trying to get out of here. But leaving ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts or Audible are very, very crucial elements to making sure that we can break through a lot of the shadow banning stuff like that goes on. And so I want to thank, who am I thanking today? I'm going to thank Ledushka74 for the 5-star reviews. It says, you don't need to tell me twice. Great job, guys. I really enjoyed listening to your podcast. You bring so much laughter, your banter, clarity, and understanding to what is going on in the world today. I've been listening to your show for a very long time, finally getting around to posting a review.
There you go.
Life is full of interruptions. That's right. May God keep you both in his care and protection. Live long and canary on. Lydia G. That is a good one. That is a good. Thank you very much, Lydia G.
Live long and canary on.
These are good examples, folks. Not only does it help us out in ways that we cannot help ourselves, but it adds to the canarium. Live on and canary. Live long and canary on might actually catch on. You'll be creating content for the show. I do want to thank Fuego Stomper for this 5-star review. These guys rock in a crazy upside down, dystopian, sinfully unbridled, hedonistic world beast system. There is an oasis where one can transcend the senseless noise of mainstream everything and relax in truth from the lies embedded in the collective hive. Thank you very much, Fuego Stomper, for that one. So go do it, folks. Head on over to Apple Podcasts. 99% of you are already listening to this on Apple Podcasts. Take 1 second. Leave a rating and a review, please, for me.
Just
you
real
right,
quick.
Guns?
can you read the Fuego Stomper one again? Because what you read and what I see as Fuego Stomper's message did not match. Or maybe I'm just...
Yeah, well, he may have changed it because this, I was reading from our thing, that our screenshot we took from earlier.
Okay.
So, do you want to read it? Is this
I don't know.
Possible offense? Do we need to
I don't think it's correct. That bad. They're both fine messages.
Does it matter?
I don't know. I want to read the correct note. I don't want to mess up the thing. So the one I'm seeing here says cages need to be shaken. There are not many podcasts that give an audience nonpartisan meat to chew. Canary Cry News cuts away all the gristle and fat, bring out the facts and are so lacking in today's podcast world. Good job, guys.
Okay, very good. Also good, Fuego Stomper. Thank you. Okay, leave ratings and reviews. Thank you very much, folks. It means the world to us. Thank you to Jam for the links.
Thank you, Jam.
And other than that, would you like to talk to Jam for a while?
Well, just to mention that, we're continuing to pray for you and everybody following the Brazil story. It's pretty gnarly. Pretty gnarly.
Brazil keeps getting stranger and stranger. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Share the show. Just share the show. Now that the curse has been lifted off of Twitter, or at least one of the curses has been lifted off of Twitter, try just tweeting out about the show. Tweet out about, grab a clip from the Canary Cry Clips channel, post about it, tag us. I'd love to thank you on the show. Just sharing the show is, that's the biggest thing about these podcast thingies. There's only so much Gonz and I can do. It's up to you guys to participate in helping spread the show. So please go do that. Share it with your friends, your family, your friend's family, your family's friend's dog. All things are possible, and it all helps. Even if you're one of those eccentric billionaires that wants to share the show in your own special way, you don't have to buy Twitter in order to help spread the word for the show. You could go ahead and make friends with some sort of artificially intelligent artist bot, and don't fall in love, though. Be careful. Apparently that's easy to do, but if you can get that artificial intelligence artist bot to start sneaking in little clues into the thousands of people using its cloud service to create artificially intelligent pieces of art from the text that they come up with. Suddenly, every single piece of art includes some sort of googly eye or some sort of samurai imagery or some sort of bird breaking out of a cage. And, we know how the occult and the cybernetics experts, the advertising godfathers, thought of their profession as sort of a low-level energy manipulation, but behind the social engineering, explicit propaganda, more of a vibe getting put out there, and suddenly the AI who has been given access to all art being created on the planet will start surreptitiously guiding the globes or the pancakes collection of art, the anamorphosphere of symbols and shapes and colors, manipulating the minds of people around the world instead of guiding them towards some sort of dystopian, spiritually oppressive future where the throne is empty and the minds of men are controlled by their baser desires and the king of darkness above that. Instead, they'll all suddenly start finding themselves listening to a wonderful podcast that helps them understand that the mainstream media is not what it seems, and the world does not have their best interest at heart, and there's only one way to live a life that's fulfilling and filled with purpose. And included in that one way is listening to Canary Cry News Talk. You don't have to share it that way, but you can do it any way you want. All you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it. Rattle the cage.
The world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Yes. Today is the 38th anniversary of Dr. Fauci taking over NIAID.
Ah!
In 1984, by the way.
Yeah.
This is when he became head of NIAID. So he's probably, I don't know, cracking open a blood champagne.
Well, and Gons was able to know that fact off the top of his head because he's got the Canary Cry calendar right in front of him, folks. And you can get yours as well by signing up for the Canary Cry Supply Drop. Go to canarycrysupply.com. Go check it out. All right, Gonzo, are you ready to get out of here?
I'm ready to Friday.
Here we go. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. Oh, yeah.
Getting amped.
It will kill. We're all gonna die.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
This is the way.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Give me a break.
And your head's on pole. You can buy and you can sell. The only problem is eternity in hell. Tribulation, that situation. Every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess. God is.
was fine.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.